in a world. Well, we're so close. I changed my camera, and now you guys are right in a brother's grill. How's it going? Hopefully the sound is good. Let's back this up a little bit. In a world. All right. It's been a minute. What's up, familia? Let's come over here. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties. Word salad already. Sounds good. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Episode 4, Schooling the Globers. In a word salad, I like it. You can share on Facebook if you want. So, gonna be 2-hour show, I think. So we're gonna get right into it. And yeah, it's been a minute. Just a lot going on, obviously, but we are back in the swing of things now. Okay, let's get into what I want to show you guys. We're gonna get right into it. All right. So I did a debate, a modern day debate. Calm down over here. All right. Cool. So yeah, I'm not really gonna cover the debate. What I'm actually gonna do is a lot of you guys may have already saw that. It's kind of like redundant and unbearable. And the whole first like 3/4 of the open dialogue is him talking about cube satellites and how that proves the Earth's a ball because he knows a guy that has a company or something like that. But yeah, we're going to actually so you guys can watch this, like I said. It's called Fiery Flat Earth Debate. Witsit versus Delcos, this guy. He's not terrible, to be honest. I mean, I know a lot of people got triggered, interrupted a lot, but we're actually not going to be schooling him so much. I mean, maybe a little bit, but he did kind of defy physics in this debate. He continued to drink from a glass that was empty. But what we're going to do is actually come right down here. We're going to go bang. This is what we're going to check out. So, like I said, we're going to get right into it. This is Schooling the Globers. We're going to try to teach you guys about the globe. It's also, of course, for true earthers who are learning. Because typically true earthers understand that there's always just more to learn and that we don't know everything about where we live. We're in a process of figuring it out. And we have to teach people that think there's a ball exactly what they believe. So here is them just kind of touting victory before I come on. I don't think they really knew I was going to come. I didn't plan on coming on, but I ended up jumping on the after show. So I didn't really listen to this or anything, but the little I heard before I came on is basically them talking about how stupid flat earthers are and why they believe density and this and that, and just like, beating up straw man arguments and talking about how wrong flat earthers are, I guess, or whatever. And then I decided to jump on. So let's check it out.
Contain a gas. We do it in our lab all the time. We we localize a local, density maximum of gaseous atoms without having an impermeable physical barrier for them to go out. They are contained by a central force, which is.
Oh my gosh, there's a ball. I'm convinced. Time to teabag some Globers. Get them. Thank you, T Baggins, for the $10 super chat. That guy convinced me the Earth was a ball. We might actually need to shut the show down, but I'm going to persevere through it, although my whole worldview's already been shattered.
It's exactly the argument with gravity. So, yeah.
I would class that as a container. I would class anything that does that. But that's a yeah, what is your thing, Witsit? What is it? Do you believe in a physical dome, or are you like a what do you call it? I don't know the other name for it. There's like some other infinite thing.
He asked me a question, though, I think.
I was just letting you know that what you're saying doesn't work.
Yes, it does.
I think it's weird that
just saying,
No,
Yeah, well,
you want me to
wanna
actually
come?
do it? You mean
Well,
actually?
guys, before we start this, Witsit,
Yeah,
are you a domer
dude,
or are
I
you a not?
do it. I did it all day today at my job as a physicist in a lab at Stanford University. I know what I'm talking about. I have
So
a
it's gonna be
PhD
embarrassing
in
if
this
I like
shit.
school you then, huh?
It's gonna be extremely embarrassing. I'm not at all concerned.
Okay. Just to answer your question. So yeah, I think there is some type of containment because of course the gas pressure thing, but actually we have equipotential increase of electricity on the earth. And the only way that you can have equipotential increase, so like 100 volts per meter, is to have a. I'm gonna have to speed this up, by the way, bro. Like, we're gonna go like a little over 1. What's up? Shout out to Indio in the chat. What's up, my brother Indio? Legend. Okay. I'll do 125 for now because I think some people don't like it. I listen to a lot of stuff at 2x. Then Kai comes in the room and she's like, "What's going on?" Gaussian surface below and above. So there has to be some type of surface above. Of course, your paradigm claims that gas falls off into space all the time, and so it isn't just some like monolithic force pulling things down and preventing gas from leaving. That's not what your model claims.
Well,
And if I have gas pressure at the surface, I don't think I really need to point this out, but obviously the cliche tactic at the beginning was like, I'm a physicist. You know, like, oh, wow, dude, that was profound, you know, but anyway. Where the gravity is the strongest, it'll go in all directions outside of vacuum. So how could it sit up higher
It
up away
doesn't,
from
though.
the earth
Not if you
where
contain
gravity's
it
weak?
with a force. Not if you contain it with a force that is sufficiently strong enough to contain something with the characteristic amount of kinetic energy that those molecules have.
I thought gravity was strong enough.
Gravity is strong enough.
So why can't we do the
Except for
gravity of
things
the
like
earth?
you do. Are you? I'm confused.
Okay,
What's
so
your
we're
question?
going to put a container of gas on the earth surface where gravity's stronger than higher up, right? Because it's proportionate to center of mass. Then we're going to open the container beside a vacuum, and it's going to violently fill the vacuum.
No, I do that in my lab. I do that in my lab with a combination of laser fields and magnetic fields. You can contain.
Why are you talking about something other than gravity? Let me just explain it, okay? Globers, listen carefully. You claim that there's a vacuum surrounding the Earth, which has an atmosphere. And you claim gravity holds the atmosphere to the Earth. Okay. And then you'll claim actually it never ends. There is no end of the atmosphere. It's not like something sitting beside a vacuum. It just is a gradient forever. So I'm like, does the Earth's atmosphere extend infinitely into the entire universe? No. Okay, then where does it stop? Well, there isn't a stop, which is obviously a contradiction. But anyway, you guys claim that the gravity holds the Earth's atmosphere to the Earth in a vacuum. Okay. I'm asking if that's true, and the Earth's gravity holds gas next to a vacuum. Then where the Earth's gravity is allegedly the strongest, which is at the surface. Technically, it's the strongest at the center of mass, right? But the strongest accessible gravity at the surface of the Earth. How come I can't open a container with gas next to a vacuum and the gravity just keep the gas there? The gas is going to violently fill the vacuum where gravity is stronger. So why would it stop the gas from filling the vacuum where gravity is weaker? That's the actual question. Immediately he goes into this like really cocky response because he's a physicist talking about magnetism. That's not what? Anyway.
A gas at a locally maximized density, which falls away as you go away, and there is no physical object that is holding them in there. There is not a glass wall until you get 10 centimeters away, which is far beyond the range of the localized density maximum. That is containing a gas without a container.
Next to a vacuum?
Yes, right next to a vacuum.
So
okay,
you have gas in
it's called a magneto-optical trap.
I just want to say real quick. So Dr. Tapio Guizo, you're a member, I believe. So I'm going to let you stay on the whole time. I'm not going to kick you off. I'm going to let Brenda on in a second, and when I put her on, I'm going to put a 5-minute timer so she can make her questions or case or whatever they would like to do. And then after 5 minutes, if there's anybody else in the queue, then I will let them on, and we'll let Brenda go, and we'll just keep going like that until like an hour or so. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah, sure. I'm just chilling.
Okay, sounds great.
Magnetism is much stronger than gravity, dude. Electrostatics is much stronger than gravity, bro. Like magnetism is like eons stronger than gravity. It's like laughable, and that's not the point. It's just blatantly a diversion away from the actual question. But anyway.
Okay. So I'll let you guys finish that thought real quick, and then I'm gonna bring on Brenda. Go ahead.
I mean, like you're talking about introducing a magnetic field, which I mean, I know we can manipulate gas with magnetic fields, and we can manipulate gas with ion.
You don't need a magnetic field. You can use a laser. Sorry, I cut you off. I apologize.
With like electrostatics, we have like ionic gases, and actually you can run a generator with ionic gases and stuff, and you can repel gases and all that stuff. I don't dispute that you can manipulate gas with forces. I'm saying if we use the gravity of the Earth, where it's the strongest, which is at the surface, why doesn't it prohibit gas from going into a vacuum if it does that allegedly where it's weaker, up higher up, beside a stronger vacuum?
It is. There's a gradient. What do you? I don't.
Here, I
don't understand what you're.
Dude, it's like they just are robots, bro. I was like, I gotta say, I mean, like, when obviously everyone's heard of NPCs, non-playable character. You have like, say you're playing a video game, you go around and there's like these built-in computer characters, and you can dialogue with them, and you pick a response, and they have a generated response to whatever question you pick. This is what the modern globe earther is. They're like an NPC, they're a bot. So they have like a preloaded script, and it's like they can only say certain things back to you. So I made a very specific point, and the response is gradient, which doesn't answer the question. It's just like it's kind of baffling, honestly. But anyway.
So this is the Earth where the gravity is coming from. So as you get farther away, as we would expect, it gets less and less and less in the gradient because it's like what? Oh, thank you.
I get that. Yeah,
like this. This is supposed to be faded at the top. Yeah,
I get
that.
I didn't answer my question.
Fail.
It's what we would expect on an Earth.
It's exactly what we see. Exactly.
It doesn't
what
answer my question.
Expect. Can you? Your question wasn't well formed.
Okay. You mean to repeat it for you? Okay. So
I do.
Do you agree that gravity's stronger at the surface than hundreds of miles up?
Yeah, slightly. Yeah.
Okay. So gravity's stronger closer to the center of mass. So if gravity's stronger at the surface, why doesn't it prevent gas from filling a vacuum if it does that where it's weaker beside a stronger vacuum?
Hold on. I think I got what he's saying. So are you saying, Witsit, if I have a vacuum at ground level, vacuum, why does gravity not prevent it from going over or leaving? Why doesn't it prevent the gas from going into the vacuum? Because what? Why doesn't it prevent the gas?
It's really simple. It's really simple.
Dude, do you see they're like shorting out? And of course, I didn't sign up to talk to Brenda, but it's obviously just they're not gonna answer right. Like, bro, I was trying to tell people, like, hypothetically, let's say the Earth is a ball, which defies physics, right? But let's say it's a ball, that the model's true. The way that people debate for the globe creates flat earthers. Legit. The number one email I get is that, yeah, I watched your debates. It woke me up to flat earth. And the primary way I woke up was observing the behavior of the people you debated and how every globe earther, no matter which debate you're in, always avoid your questions, misrepresents you, strawmans you, ad homs you, uses tons of fallacies, are very derogatory and arrogant, but never answer the actual questions and are constantly dishonest. And after you correct them for the strawman, they then continue to repeat it anyway. And they just have a script they keep saying back to you. And it made me think, wow, why can't no one defend the globe honestly without lying and strawmanning and using fallacies? That's what the number one email I get. It's not even close. It's not even close. When I get emails about how they woke up to the Earth, that's the number one. And it's like, you guys need to take, if you actually think the Earth's a globe, either A, stop publicly debating it, or B, learn what logic is. Okay.
I don't think the question makes sense.
No, it's simple. It's simple.
Go ahead, Brenda.
It takes energy. It takes more energy than the gas has to leave the gravitational field of the Earth. That's why.
Why does it enter the vacuum and fill it if gravity's holding it down?
It does. You said why does it? Gas doesn't enter the vacuum of space.
Obviously, we're talking about a demonstration on the Earth. And in your paradigm, gas does fill the vacuum of space. We lose tons and tons of hydrogen in your own globe model.
Because
if you get the gas cold enough, it doesn't.
Brenda, he's not talking in space. He's talking on the surface.
Just listen, please. Just listen. It takes energy to leave a gravitational field, and I have somebody at my door.
I can hold on. So your question is if you believe what I said about being able to trap a localized collection of gas in a vacuum using just lasers, which you can do. You don't need the magnetic fields. You can do it with just a laser. It's called a dipole trap. Then your question is sort of, if I just release that, would they fall down or would they just spread everywhere? And the answer is they fall down. We measure them by releasing them, watching them fall, and they expand a little bit as they fall according to how much kinetic energy, aka the temperature that the gas has. It's called time of flight. It's called time of flight imaging, and it's been used for more than I've been.
Brenda's the person that comes in and like you guys are playing a chess game and just knocks all the pieces off the board. Congrats on the baby, Austin and Kai. So happy for you. Yeah, bless Marty and Jennifer. Thank you so much, bro. Gnostic Academy, Marty Leeds, legend. Thank you for the $15 super chat and the kind words, brother. Much love. You guys see how simple the question is? It would be such a quick answer. I know like the best the globe can say, and they never say it. You know, it's like, should I tell them? Like, I don't know. I'm like, should I just start telling them? Should I like, should I get James to do a modern day debate where like, look, where I don't have any glasses, but like where I have glasses and I'm the baller, and then I'm just me, the flat earther, and I go back and forth with myself and I present the globe argument the best it can be presented. That way we can just save time and everyone can efficiently get to the bottom of it. I think that might be what has to happen. Like I'll do that skit on my channel where I still man the globe more articulate than they can, and then we can actually get to the bottom of it. Like, it's just so pathetic.
Alive.
So
answer the question, I guess.
I'm going back to. I'm sorry, I was pulled away. There was somebody at my door.
I did answer the question.
He didn't answer the question though. This was so funny too. They're like, Witsit thinks he's smarter than all these physicists. No, I don't think I'm smarter than all physicists. But every time you bring one of your physicists over here, they get slapped around in this debate. They're ill prepared for this. It's just a soft spot. Everyone just assumes it. Every time anyone heard a conversation that they think that maybe the Earth's not what we were told, we're like, I've never even thought of that. I don't even know, like, what? Like, so yeah, appealing to credentials and stuff like that in this realm is not going to help you out. Like, look, this guy is a physicist. Said he just was working in the lab at Stanford. Light work, bro. It's light work.
Question. The fact that you don't understand the answer is not my problem. It's
You didn't
yours.
answer the question.
It's very simple. It takes energy to leave a gravitational field, and that's more energy typically than the gas molecules have. Some gas molecules do have enough energy to leave. That's why it can be found, out around the moon in the hyper atmosphere, or whatever they call it. Right? It takes energy.
By the way, this is so you guys know. This right here, you see this right here? This is I'm starting to get a headache look. If you guys ever see me do that in debates and stuff, that's literally because like my head will kind of start doing this little like throbbing thing. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Don't say I never did anything for you guys. I'm not exaggerating. Like I usually get like a migraine from the modern day debate. It's legit.
To leave the Earth's gravitational influence. That's why gas does it. That's why gas is here on Earth. It's because it takes energy.
That doesn't answer my question, though.
Yes,
it
really does.
It
actually
in a
does.
vacuum. You're talking about you're talking about space with it, right? You're talking about on
Correct.
the surface.
No, he's asking why doesn't the gas that's on Earth simply expand into all the available space that's out there that's empty vacuum? Why doesn't it?
That's not what I asked.
That's what I was trying to tell you, Brenda. That's the wrong question.
Yeah, I'm saying like I get the claim that technically speaking, it's actually not a force. It's the bending and warping of space time, which is not a force, but you can think of it like a force.
I didn't say it was a force. I said it takes energy.
Know.
It's fine. Let him go.
That's just what he said. He said a force. So sure, you're comparing it to a magnetic force, and you can think of gravity like that if you want to, even though it's no longer considered a force. But I get that you're saying that the gas is basically trapped within the gravity well next to the vacuum, right? But what I'm saying is if gravity is the strongest at the surface, right, then I should be able to let gas out next to a vacuum, right? And it could be like a small amount of gas, like say like close to a vacuum, then a
come to my lab. I'll show you.
What?
Come to my lab and I will show you. We do that. We release gases inside vacuums and then we image them as they fall, and they always go the same direction when they're falling because gravity exists.
Are you under the Why do they always have to divert away? Glovers, please take notes, okay? I didn't have time to fully plan out a lesson for you guys. We're going to have a new intro, a whole format, a whole new like everything for Skull and Glover starting in episode 5. We're going to have like we're going to have maybe my whiteboard. We're going to have everything. You're going to have a quiz. You guys need to pay attention. I'm trying to help you out. We're going to have a logic course. I'm going to try to teach some of you guys. And like, dude, don't get it wrong. I'm not claiming I know everything. I'm not, nothing like that. But clearly you guys need some help, man. You guys are struggling out here. So anyway, pay attention. I'm trying to help you out. We're basically talking about gas pressure at the moment. Now, I just need you guys to wrap your mind around the simplicity and objectivity of this conversation, please. Impression that I think gravity doesn't exist.
Well, you don't think it exists, do you?
You mean I don't believe in the bending and warping of space-time, like some religious, stupid belief of a eugenicist?
That's
I
just
was under that impression to some extent, not the.
Yeah, I didn't remember saying
right.
that.
Well, you don't think it exists, do you?
You mean I don't believe in the bending and warping of space-time, like some religious, stupid belief of a eugenicist?
That's
I
just
was under that impression to some extent, not the.
right. Gravity is science. It's not a religion.
What? Okay, so if you think
That's why
gravity
I'm
exists,
confused why you
why
guys
do you
are
think
religious.
that? Well, then why do you think? Why is there a problem with your understanding of how gravity is held? Is holding on to molecules. So you understand how to calculate the gravitational potential of an object?
No, he can't do math. You're overestimating. You're overestimating.
Hold on. Yeah. Well, hold.
He can't do math.
This isn't very hard. So
It's
do you
still, he
understand how to
can't do
calculate
that.
the gravity?
No, he can't do that. He can't.
We're in a projection.
He can answer the fucking question though.
Kind of a thing. Okay.
I just dropped a.
So,
so
there's a downward electric current in the Earth, and then on the smaller scale, electrostatics is 10 to 36 power stronger than gravity is even claimed to be. The bending and warping of space-time is just a theory. It's actually well disputed within the higher levels of academia. You have quantum gravity proposed to replace it. Best case scenario is relativity is incomplete. Best case scenario, it's incomplete. So it doesn't work. You can believe it if you want to. That's what religious people do. But my point is that the gravity doesn't hold the gas pressure next to it. Glovers, listen. I need you guys to realize this is not, as you guys like to say, some script I have or some. This is your model, okay? This is your model. Again, Globers. We're schooling the Globers here, okay? If the Earth really is a globe that's tilted, wobbling, gyrating, spinning, revolving around the sun, shooting through the galaxy, that's dragging us through space over 1,000,000 miles per hour, if that's actually the case, right? And we defy physics and water bends convex around the exterior of a spinning object with atmosphere where even though gas don't have an intrinsic or inherent shape at all whatsoever, it's somehow sitting next to a vacuum of 10 to the negative 17 toward define the second law of thermodynamics, where somehow you have a dynamo model that doesn't make sense and doesn't match the actual axial precession, and the Earth is speeding up and slowing down in defying physics. If somehow all that didn't count somehow, and we didn't have physical empirical measurements falsifying the radius value, which falsifies the entire model, and that wasn't a real thing or whatever, okay? Hypothetically, the Earth was a ball, okay? The way that you guys debate makes people leave the globe Earth. Like, it's a cult. You guys come off like a cult, okay? So I'm extending friendship. I'm trying to help you guys out, okay? So if you guys will pay attention, then we can progress the conversation intellectually. Okay. Vacuums at the surface where it's the strongest. So why would it do it where it's weaker? That's what I'm asking.
It does hold it, and it holds it. It holds it because it takes energy to leave the influence of the Earth's gravitational field, right?
It feels the vacuum. Oh yeah. So that's why I actually paused. I forgot. So this is what I need you guys to know. I don't just say that because it's like a script. When I say in your own paradigm, best case scenario, relativity is drastically incomplete. This is objective. Okay. So maybe I have to share the screen because it's like you guys need to see Google because the NPCs, like they download their script. If you don't show them their script, right? So I've been explaining for quite a while now that as early as the 30s, like 1933, it was discovered that in your paradigm, assuming relativity, that the galaxies only had 1 to 3% of the mass predicted. Okay? So really simple, Globers. Listen, okay? Gravity. You have this amount of mass. The mass causes gravity. So with this amount of mass, there's this amount of gravity, okay? That's relativity for 5-year-olds. Mass, gravity. Relationship, relativity claims what that relationship is. This amount of mass causes this amount of bending and warping of space-time, which causes the effect that we call gravity, okay? Okay. So when we use relativity's prediction and we look out at the universe in your own paradigm, it was way too much gravity for the amount of mass that was seen. So relativity didn't work. Do you guys get it? According to relativity, to have this much gravity, you need this much mass, but you only had this much mass, okay? You didn't have enough mass. In fact, it was off by 97 to 99%. You only had, let's say, 3% of the mass needed, okay? The galaxies only had 3% of the mass predicted by relativity. So it didn't work. It was falsified in 1933 within your own paradigm. I mean, it was falsified on its face, can't attribute physical properties, conceptual abstractions, one of which is a privation, which is space, which is the absence of matter. And then you have a conceptual quantification of a coordinate system. You think you can attribute physical properties to that. Tesla completely destroyed relativity. The second it came out, it was stupid. Equal opposite reaction would cause the curvature of space-time to straighten out and blah, blah, blah. It's philosophically bankrupt. It's like not even like logically viable on its face prior to the whole what's the math saying, what's the evidence. But outside of that, when they assumed it because they had to say objects contract, but you just can't tell, everything's an illusion, time dilates, physically expands and slows down. So it's going to constantly make you think the Earth's not moving and that it's stationary, even though actually we're flying through space at multiple vectors and blah, blah, blah. When they assumed it, then they just assumed it with all these fairy tales, right? And then they went and looked at the sky and it didn't work. Okay. Now I'm going to show you that that's the case because apparently every time I say it, people say that's not true. That anti-flat earthers, again, you guys make flat earthers by acting the way that you do. So here is your own paradigm explaining it to you. This isn't something I came up with. Okay, look at that. What a coincidence. I said, when was dark matter discovered? And it says exactly what I said, 1933. The first real evidence for dark matter came in 1933 when Fritz Zwicky used the Mount Wilson Observatory to measure the visible mass of a cluster of galaxies and found that it was much too small to prevent the galaxies from escaping the gravitational pull of the cluster. Dark matter's existence was first inferred by Swiss-American astronomer Fritz Zwicky, who in 1933 discovered that the mass of all the stars in the Coma cluster of galaxies provided only about 1% of the mass needed to keep the galaxies from escaping the cluster's gravitational pull. Scientists have discovered dark matter around galaxies that existed about 12 billion years ago. Blah, 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 blah. This is the point. 1933. Okay? 1933. That's almost a century ago. We discovered that relativity's prediction was incorrect. And not just a little bit, 99% incorrect. It was off by 99%. So now we have two options in science. Okay? We have a hypothesis. We then test our hypothesis. Okay? We're like, here's a hypothesis. Let's go test it. Here's some evidence. When the evidence directly contradicts the hypothesis, you now understand my hypothesis is wrong. It doesn't work. We must do away with the hypothesis. It doesn't work anymore. You guys didn't do that. So again, remember, Glovers, I'm being really rudimentary here. Make sure we're all on the same page because for like 2 years now, I've been trying to point this out, and every single time it's handily dismissed that I made it up or something. Okay. So relativity. This much mass gives you this much gravity. Assumed relativity, looked at the sky, it didn't work. It was off by 99%. It needed way more mass. So what did they do? Did they change relativity and say, okay, relativity's not right. We need a new gravity? No. What they did was say, okay, we're going to keep relativity. We're going to keep our universe. We're going to keep everything that we assume about the model. And we are going to fill in that 99% missing mass. We're just going to fill it in. We're going to pretend that it was 100% the amount of mass that was needed for relativity to work. Even though it was only 1%, we're going to pretend that it was actually 100% by filling in the remaining 99% of mass needed. We're going to call it dark matter, meaning we don't know what it is. Dark meaning it doesn't interact with the electromagnetic spectrum or light. It can't be detected. It can't be observed. It can't be seen. It can't be directly measured. We can't find it. We can't define it. We don't know what it is, but it must have some type of material characteristics to have the mass part that causes the gravity, and we can't see it. So dark matter. That's where you get the words. Literally, that's what the words mean. Dark, we can't find it. Matter, it must make up for the missing mass. This is almost a century ago. Okay? So when I say that best case scenario in your own paradigm, relativity is drastically incomplete, that is objective. And if you can't accept what your model says, you're making more flat earthers. It's almost like you guys are my employee. All right. Moving on, because that always gets breezed past. There's no way it can be misunderstood now. I just explained it as simply as possible. Okay. And guess what? Fast forward almost 100 years, they still don't know what dark matter is, still don't know how to detect it, still never directly observed it. They have no idea even how to define it. And then if you ask someone, the NPC download script, download dark matter script, download dark matter script. We know dark matter exists because we see the effects of it everywhere. It has to exist. The evidence for it is overwhelming. Translation in real person language, the predictions are consistently wrong. So in order to keep relativity in our heliocentric model, we must assume dark matter's there. It has to be there or relativity is wrong. That's what it actually means. Okay, moving on.
What vacuum?
If I have a pressurized system on the Earth and then I have a vacuum outside of it and I open the lid of the gas, it'll fill the vacuum.
Not if it's cold enough, it won't. Not if it's cold enough, it won't. That's you're simply incorrect about that. If it's cold enough, it won't do that.
His response was, not if it's cold enough, which of course, as you get gas colder and colder, it begins to change state and become more dense. So then it stays down, right? So that's a stupid response, but we'll continue on because it gets even worse, obviously. There's obviously
needs to have a lot of kinetic energy.
There's a much more obvious rebuttal that comes out.
So the reason,
right, so,
the reason
let me
that
just
we
play
have
some musical chairs real quick. Go ahead, Brenda, go ahead. Say what you want to say, and then we're going to switch you out. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I haven't had hardly any time. I mean, it's been dominated by the other two. So the reason is it's very simple, right? It's because your concept of how forces work with it is incorrect. It takes energy for gases to escape the influence of the Earth's gravity, right? So if you release gas up high in the atmosphere, some of it will fall down and some of it might have enough energy to escape, but most likely it will simply stay within the Earth's atmosphere because it takes energy to leave the influence of the Earth.
Oh, obviously, this is the definition of an NPC. Just says the script, right? So
Answers your question.
What is the question?
Energy to leave the influence of the Earth.
It's already said that.
That answers your question. That answers your question, Witsit.
It's all good. You guys will get there. Like, gravity's not a force, and you're saying that if it's cold, right? That's what you're saying. Like, so you're saying that because it's cold in the top level of the atmos, that it wouldn't fill the vacuum of space. Is that your?
No, my point is that if you have a box,
obviously I trapped him. I'm gonna be doing like a logic thing, and I'm gonna open up like a lot of people were like, dude, can you like sit down with me and help teach me certain things on how to debate or whatever, and like. I'm gonna do like you can like book a little like consultation thing. We'll sit down and we'll go through. I can like tell you what I've learned and how I know. I do have like a gift to debate, to be honest. And you always are tactical with it. So you don't just come out and bring your home run. That's not really that's never the way to debate. Okay, you just like you give them something that leads them to your point. That way you can save time and it's efficient for the audience to hear it. So you know what they're gonna do and how they're gonna run through it, but you just lead them to it. You know what I'm saying? I never realized that the scar on my eyebrow is so noticeable. Maybe I should match it by shaving a line in this one. Pretend I did it on purpose. Actually got snuck from the side in college. So anyway, I'm sorry. So like, I forgot what I was saying. Sorry. You guys will get it. Moving on.
That is
yeah. Okay. You lead them into the point. So like there I said, oh, so you're saying that it's cold at the top layer of the atmos. Obviously, they say that's the hottest. They say the top of the atmos is the hottest. So when I'm like, why doesn't the gas fill the vacuum at the surface level? It's obviously a red herring fallacy to say, oh, if it's cold, it wouldn't. It's non sequitur, non-sequential, doesn't follow the point. We're not talking about if it's cold and changes state and becomes more dense. We're talking about the gas equivalent to the gas that's in the atmos. That's the entire point. Just gas in its state of gas. Okay. It's going to fill the vacuum. That's what happens. That's what it does. That's just subjectively what it does. And of course, applied to the atmos and the analogy, which is why it's actually non-sequential to what I'm saying. It doesn't follow is because we're talking about analogous to the atmos, which is, of course, they claim that it's the hottest at the top. Instead of saying all that or trying to cram all that, I just said like, so you're saying that that's a rebuttal that it's like cold at the top of the atmos? Because obviously it's not. You let them begin to kind of bury themselves and then stake their flags so you can elucidate their problems. The number one tip I can give anyone about debating, it's like chess. So you bait them into the conclusion you want them to get to. Take it or leave it.
1 meter by 1 meter, and then it's 500 miles tall, and you put pressure sensors along that box, it's not filling the box.
500 miles tall.
Yeah, 500 miles tall.
What if I have a gas pressure container that's 1 foot tall? And
then it needs to be very, very cold. Then it needs to be very, very, the gas needs to be very, 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 very cold for the kinetic energy not to overwhelm the gravitational potential energy.
Okay, so he just conceded the whole point, right? I mean, don't be afraid of these people with credentials and stuff. Like they're not hard to debate as long as you can understand how to debate. So to be
It's
analogous to the Earth, then you're saying that the top layer of the atmos is very, very cold?
it's not analogous to the Earth. It's
You're right, because
analogous
it's actually
to
the hottest at the top, right?
I don't know the details. I'm not an
Yo, bro, am I? He doesn't know the details, man. The top layer of the atmos is very, very cold.
It's not analogous.
This is the, by the way, what he's about to do. He's about to show Globers. Pay attention. He's about to show like one of the typical things that people that believe whatever the mainstream consensus narrative is. This is like the plague of the mind that they adopt, where they're like, "Oh, I'm not a fill in the blank." So it's like, "Oh, we're talking about like terrain theory versus germ theory." "Oh, I'm not a doctor." "Oh, so you can't intellectually think for yourself and research and dissect information?" Nikola Tesla dropped out of college, so he wasn't anything, right? And he was one of the best scientists ever in modern history. Oh, I can't think for myself. I remove intellectual responsibility because I'm not a hyper specific field expert. So basically, with that narrative, everyone in the world that has like really professional, like impressive credentials are only allowed to talk about the specific field they're an expert in. And that is very ignorant, right? I mean, intellectuals know that that's stupid.
To the Earth. It's
You're right, because
analogous
it's actually
to
the hottest at the top, right?
I don't know the details. I'm not an atmospheric physicist.
Okay.
And it all bleeds kind of seamlessly into the solar wind and stuff. And there's a lot of transfer in and out. One of the problems we have in the helium industry, for example, is this pesky little thing where helium just goes up and then it gets blown away.
That's a great way to put it, actually. Wait. Waving a white flag on a high horse. Yeah, exactly. That's what he just did.
Real annoying.
So
because
solar
helium's
wind makes
really
it
useful.
worse because that's going to warm it up and add even more
Yeah, I
kinetic
know.
energy. Dude, do you guys see, like, they just start grasping at straws, like solar wind, and it's like, I don't know, it's so bad. It's so bad. I start to feel bad. This is why you'll never get like a really like credentialed, like professional guy debate me live. Never. The best we've got so far is Brian Myers. I'm trying. Anyone that knows anyone with credentials, like hit them up. We can have a super professional, honest, fair, respectful conversation about this conversation. But this is why, because they have to make stuff up, bro. Like, did you guys hear that?
There's a lot of transfer. It all bleeds kind of seamlessly into the solar wind and stuff. And there's a lot of transfer in and out. One of the problems we have in the helium industry, for example, is this pesky little thing where helium just goes up and then it gets blown away. It's real annoying.
So
because
solar
helium's
wind makes
really
it
useful.
worse because that's going to warm it up and add even more
Yeah, I
kinetic
know.
energy. So
Hey Eloy, thanks for joining us. I'll start your timer whenever you want to start your arguments or questions.
Okay, well, good evening to
he knows. That's why he said the point that refutes his own position.
everyone. I just wanted to jump
By
in.
the way, this guy crushes. Eloy crushes, bro. I don't know if I know most of you guys maybe didn't see this, so I'm like, yeah, I thought I'd cover it with you guys. Oh, shout out to my boy Mindshock. Had high hopes for Bryant. Intelligence and mental strength don't always go hand in hand. Yeah, I had high hopes for him at first too, man. I'll be honest, I don't know. I think that religious dogma is the death of like intellectual progression, but in logic, right? Like dogma is the death of logic. But anyway, shout out to Mindshock. You guys should check out his channel. He covers logic very well.
Because the discussion is curious across the board whenever these debates occur.
Actually, I think he's so good at covering logic that I'm about to show him a little. I'm about to tip my hat to him real fast.
So not to dirty the waters here, but I don't instinctually believe that don't take this in either way, but I don't instinctually believe that the Earth is flat. I don't disagree that the Earth is round. I think that that's the commonplace. That this is what we've known. But with that put to the side, the debate is interesting because people like the gentleman there, Witsit, does.
All right, I mean interrupt. Thought I paused it. That's the main thing, dude. You gotta know how to think. That's what I'm gonna teach my daughter. That's why I want to homeschool her, because like I don't want to teach her what to think. I want to teach her how to think.
Round. I think that that's.
Dude, this is the biggest advice for globe earthers ever, dude. This is such a good piece of advice, and since it's coming from a fellow glober, maybe it'll sink in.
Believe not whenever these debates occur. But so not to dirty the waters here, but I don't instinctually believe that don't take this in either way, but I don't instinctually believe that the Earth flat. I don't disagree that the Earth is round. I think that that's the commonplace. This is what we've known. But with that put to the side, the debate is interesting because people like the gentleman there, Witsit, does start from. So I give credit. He does start from a position of here's this one specific item that I have an issue with. Let's look at that. And when I see these debates, so I'm kind of like a little bit of a sitting in the car, driving down the highway. I haven't arrived. I'm still on the journey, watching people and stuff. But he goes specific, and so what I see from the typical debate is that people will go all over the place to try to either on purpose or it's just frustrating, bouncing everywhere in every which way, and it sort of derails the train, as it were. So that's just my observation. I still find it interesting, but I think the most effective thing to do is to take one specific thing and drain it until it has no more life. And then once that's settled, you put that in that folder and move on until the whole thing. That's if you're going to engage with people that believe that the Earth is flat. With that said, I believe the strongest curiosity that has been brought up frequently is the issue of distance and people measuring distances, and things looking further than one would assume, and people arguing those things back and forth. I think that the gas scenario is very interesting as well. But I personally wouldn't, if I took what the gentleman there Witsit said in terms of what we're observing, I could just say that all I know is what I've heard, seen. I've not experimented any of it. But yeah, the distance thing and that other bit that I mentioned. Just a couple of points that I wanted to share.
Yeah, so like with the distances, did you guys hear that? That he thinks the Earth is round, which is not exclusive to spherical, of course, but he doesn't like how you guys defend your position. That's why I think the first time I heard this idea was actually on Mind Shock, which is like the idea that, well, I'm put here to debate flat Earth logically while they prop up goofballs like Professor Dave, who does the opposite, and everything he says is a fallacy, where it's like impressive you can say that many fallacies in that period of time, so that it breathes life into the psychological operation that is flat Earth, because all anyone can find is like illogical, fallacious arguments on behalf of the globe. And of course, even if you argue correctly via logic, doesn't make your point correct, right? Meaning, like, everyone knows what the fallacy is. Like, if someone argues something fallaciously, like, that doesn't mean that their conclusion's wrong. It just nullifies their argument. Their path of logic presented to make the conclusion is incorrect. It isn't logical, right? It's called a fallacy to assume that since they used a fallacy, their conclusion's wrong. Their argument's wrong. It's invalid. That's what logical fallacies are, invalid arguments, right? But it doesn't mean that their conclusion's wrong. Vice versa is true as well. Just because I don't use a fallacy, it doesn't automatically mean my conclusion is correct. But the way that the Globers debate is abysmal. It's like terrible, right? But he brought up the distances, so I guess I do want to show this, because it's like when you really pull back the curtain, dude, this is the biggest like clown show cosmology ever propagated onto mankind. It's just the way that it is. So here you go. Science.org. It must be true. It says science. Okay. Last November, astronomer David Turner made headlines by claiming that one of the sky's best known objects, the North Star Polaris. Yeah, one of the most known objects, I would say so, seeing as how it's like in the center of all the rotation forever, was actually 111 light years closer than thought. Now, it says if true, blah, blah, blah. Well, they then came out and said that it is true. They were off by over 100 light years. Well, how much is a light year? It's 5.8 trillion miles. 5.88. $5.88 trillion miles. Okay. So yeah, when he said that their distances are sketchy, dude, it's like awful. It's just such pseudoscience. And this is something else. We're schooling the Globers here. Whenever you hold a cosmological position that's actually philosophical, it's ontological, it isn't scientific. None of this is scientific, can't be empirically tested or verified. So we sit over here on the Earth and we try to come up with what we think the sky is doing and what it is. And then we try to make claims about the Earth, which in and of itself is illogical, because you would go to the Earth to decide that. And then you have a cosmology, which is ontological, meaning it is philosophical. And that was actually how it all started. That's how the globe Earth itself started, when you had these Greek philosophers, assuming history is what we are told, right? We had these Greek philosophers that were like, the perfect shape is a sphere. Therefore, the Earth must be a sphere because it has to be the perfect shape, because they were creationists. They thought, okay, only now somehow people think that the ball is like justification for atheism or whatever, right? It was a philosophical motivation was that the earth is a sphere because the perfect shape is a sphere. That's a philosophy. And they looked out into space and they ended up thinking, okay, what if we're a sphere moving around all these other spheres? Okay. But before they got to that, which was also a philosophy from like alchemists and like sun worshippers, sorcerers, admittedly, sun worshipping sorcerers. That was their philosophical motivation for heliocentrism. Anyway, you go back and you're like, okay, so we're a ball. Now we look out and we see the stuff. Now, if we're going to think that these stars are super far away, right? So like when you integrate heliocentrism, you have to claim the stars are crazy far away, but the stars keep doing the same thing over and over. So for the stars to be super far away, but keep doing the same thing over and over, right? Well, okay, they have to be super far away for us to be moving through them, but them stay the same, right? I don't want to get it backwards. So the stars keep doing the same thing over and over in a cycle. If we're going to think the Earth is a ball that moves through the sky, we have to think, okay, well, those stars are super far away. That's why they look like they keep doing the same thing over and over because they're so far away, we wouldn't really see them change much. Okay. To think that they're so far away, the only way you could see something that far away, even in theory, is that there's basically nothing between you and the star. That's where they came up with the vacuum. That's what they came up with the privation. You can also look all the way back into Aristotle. What is the difference or the antithesis of matter? That's a privation. The idea of privation, emptiness, void of, like space, vacuum. Okay. And what a coincidence. And Democritus, it's like, what a coincidence the Greek philosophers came up with what you think is science now, right? Anyway, long story short, so you have to think everything's super far away. It's just like a philosophical ontological premise. That's the truth of the matter. And if you want to determine what you believe or what you hold to be true, like you need to efficiently acknowledge what is and isn't science, what is and isn't philosophy. And I think that's one of the primary problems. So I hope that I know I kind of like jumped around a little bit. I hope that everyone followed that. But moving on, bro. First of all, you have to. This is how it started. Most people just don't look into the history of it because it's just what we were taught and everyone believes it. But anyway, so they got the perfect shape's a sphere, right? The Greeks. Oh, I didn't realize that I did this. I'm sorry. And
What
so
do you
they're
mean
like,
by
well,
perfect?
the Earth must be the perfect shape. It's a sphere. And then they looked into the sky and said, look, the moon looks like a sphere. Oh, look, these other things look like a circle. Everything must be spheres. And they thought, well, in order for us to be moving and the Earth to be moving, but the sky not to be moving around with us, those stars must be super far away. So then they said it must be in a vacuum or we wouldn't be able to see stars that far away. And so then they started reverse engineering distances. And just a few years ago, NASA came out and said we were wrong about our distance to Polaris by over 30%. And they were over 100 light years off, which is 6 trillion miles for each light year, 5.88 trillion miles. So just the other day, basically, just the other year, they said, oh, we were off by over 100 light years to Polaris, the most important central star in our sky. So obviously 30% margin of error is unacceptable. It isn't some definitive scientific model. Their distances are all guesswork and admittedly could all be wrong and proven wrong all the time.
Well, I appreciate that. The other thing is that I find interesting, and as you were mentioning this, it popped into my.
I literally said everything I more efficiently than I just broke down, so I apologize. I didn't know what I said back.
Head is the issue of so photographs from space, let's say, or from the space station and whatnot, or high altitude planes, you'll usually see that sort of that argument that you guys always go through across the board with curvature, lens curvature, and this and that. And what I've found is looking at it as a novice and observer, I looked at it and I took one of those curved pictures and I put it in Photoshop and I completed the curve with pictures just to see what the shape of the peninsula in terms of Florida, let's say, in the one picture I saw. And I noticed that the peninsula, due to how the curve was, there was definite curve.
I know a few highly credentialed PhDs, they just laugh at flat Earth, but not the not true laugh, the amused how clueless most debate kind of laugh. Meaning, no, it's not easy to prove. Nice. I actually have to strongly agree with like almost every one of the subjects I bring up when I talk to like really highly credentialed like PhDs and MSBA, this, that, physicists, this. They all end up like agreeing with you. They're like, yeah, relativity is definitely incomplete best case. It's almost assuredly just wrong. Like, yeah, geocentrism is a valid, viable alternative, and you can't disprove it. It's only in like this weird little like anti-flat Earth realm that it's like so vehemently
affecting
opposed.
It because the continents would not fit when it completed the circle of the thing. So if people were to admit certain things that are obviously wrong on the round Earth side and concede that, it doesn't ruin their round Earth but it moves the ball forward. So I'm more focused on why, do this back and forth on dumb little things, in my opinion, instead of going to the meat of the story and breaking it down. So that I'd like some answers on that bit. Thank you, Kaz.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I can only give my opinion about that. Like I think that people just like it's embarrassing to concede anything to a flat earther. So you must say that they're wrong about everything. It's that simple. Like you said, if you took the pictures and you completed the curvature, it would be way too much curve. It wouldn't be what the globe Earth claims. People don't do that. It's just much easier to ridicule or mock people. So I mean, you can use like horizon correction to show that those videos actually show a flat horizon. But people don't do that either. So I don't know. I agree with you that if the Earth is a ball, the way that people debate it, do it a huge disservice, right? And like the way that they are very fallacious. If anything, they're breathing life into flat Earth because no one can just be honest about the debate. So.
If I can just put one little bit in and I'll retire. So yeah, so I think that the disservice would be, and again, it looks like it's for fun because that's what for most people. But if it were to be focused, if the arguments were to be focused on specific items, and I know that's not going to happen because this is human beings are different and dynamic.
Oh, sorry, I'm muted. That's how debate works, though. That's how it should. Like, if you're in a debate and so your counterpart makes a specific argument, you rebut it with substantive specificity. That's how debate works. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, why do people not understand that? If I say, electromagnetic propagation over a flat Earth to use ground weapon systems in the military requires the assumption that the Earth's a dielectric plane. So we measure it, but the plane survey, we map out a position central to our coordinate system from us, central out, right? A Cartesian coordinate system out from us. And then we find the enemy. Then we have a ground weapon system that uses electromagnetic propagation with a horizontal propagation over a dielectric plane. And that's what even the military documents say. And we can actually go out ourselves and actually show this is how we measure the surface of the Earth. And then your response is, sunsets wouldn't work on a flat Earth. You aren't debating. It's not even considered a debate. That's not a debate. That's like a child just throwing stuff at the wall, right? Like I love that this guy came on because it's like if I say it, people just argue with it, but whenever the ballers say like, look, the way that people are arguing for the globe is like it's terrible and it's dishonest and you guys aren't staying on topic and you constantly just bring up random things and divert, use red herring fallacies and you just use non sequiturs and then you just straw man and you just do all this crazy obfuscation fallacies, empty word fallacies. It's like fallacy. It's like not never ending that you're disingenuous. It just makes it unbearable almost. It's like the reason that I still do the debates is because it's so many people ask me to. That's the only reason, because I like get really aggravated. But moving on.
But if it were to be focused on specific things and just hone down on that instead of laughing, giggling, jumping up and down and arguing and saying bad words, things would march in a better direction, in my opinion. But we're more complicated than that. Okay, I'll let you guys go. And thank you for having me on, Kaz.
Thank you, Eloy. See you later.
Ciao.
Hey, well, does this sound any better? How does this sound?
Sound good.
All right, cool.
You're just gonna ignore
a little
what
break
he
in the
said,
conversation real quick. Let me just read a couple of the comments that came in, or at least the. You know what? Never mind. I'm so sorry. I don't have any started comments here. Guess I messed up. So yeah, the questions from the debate, I do have those as well. The ones that were not super chats, so I can also open those up.
Hey, just to
by the way, I did not see the debate. I just want to give that as context.
It wasn't like
I just got back like right when the after show started. So yeah.
It didn't get into like a lot of specificity, honestly. But like, what do you guys think about the Antarctic Treaty? Like I say, the Earth is a ball, right? Like, don't you guys find it extremely inconvenient as it pertains to this conversation that like you can't just circumnavigate the Earth and go over Antarctica and pop back up, right? Well, this is one of my intellectual honesty litmus tests, and none of the ballers ever pass it, bro. It's sad. You guys just lie.
Like, really, you don't need to.
You are like 17 jabs deep, like still bragging about it.
Don't need
to
do
prove
that.
it, right?
Well, in the debate, like I said, you don't need to go to Antarctica at all. You can just take a boat and get some binoculars and see the edge of Antarctica and then just keep going around it. And if you're going for a few days and you're like, wow, Antarctica's way fucking bigger than we thought, then there you go. You don't need to touch it.
You can't see the coast of Antarctica from the 60th south latitude. Is ridiculous.
It's not necessary to go on it. The treaty is irrelevant.
Well, you say that, but actually, if you go to the 60th south latitude, you can't see the shore of Antarctica from there. So you need permission, even in the waters beyond that, to do any type of exploration. And I'm saying circumnavigation would just prove it. And we have Captain Cook and many other people that did go to Antarctica and try to go around it, and they traveled 60 to 70,000 miles and said it just never stopped going. So it's like, I'm just saying, like, whether the Earth's a ball or not, it's very inconvenient that we can't privately go circumnavigate the Earth north to south. Because if you could just go over Antarctica and pop back up on the other side of the ball and then continue back to where you started, that would just end the debate for good. And conveniently enough, it's illegal to do that.
That's got to be somewhat suspect.
There's a club that does it. In fact, actually, googling it, there's a whole circumnavigations club by Yachting World. Yes, it's. I can send you the link.
I know, brother. Check the route, and actually, it dips down into Antarctica and then pops back up north. It doesn't continue over the actual continent. So that's not.
I've seen the online advertisements or whatever.
Like, do I have to show that? Do I also have to show that? Like, are you guys even are the Globers even watching this Going the Globers? Because like it gets more views than the rest. I know you guys are watching it. I also go to the analytics and I can see like the like ratio. And did you know you can bring back dislikes? There's actually a way to bring back dislikes as a Google Chrome extension. So I know you guys are watching it. So are you guys just not listening, or do you just intentionally lie all the time? Like, I don't understand it. Like, stop lying about circumnavigation, please.
For trips to Antarctica that you can pay for, you had to train for them or whatever, right? I'm wondering, would you be willing to do one of those, Austin?
No, because like I know people that have gone. I know former NASA employee that was stationed there for 6 months. Like, it's not really going to prove.
See, that's not true. Like I did misunderstand what he's saying, so I said no. But you can't do that. They say it's they're not going to let you fly directly over the center of Antarctica and pop back up because it's so dangerous. They say they don't have the infrastructure to rescue you. They don't have communicative abilities. They can't track you. They say that they don't approve that route.
Prove anything other than maybe the 24-hour sun. I would maybe go to see the alleged 24-hour sun, which no one ever sees. But no, not you'd have to be able to go over the actual continent, right? And like you can't. So I just find that weird. I mean, it's like my wife's grandparents just went. It was 20 grand, and they didn't even get off the boat. And like, if you could just go take a picture on some ice, that doesn't help us. We need to go over it, and it's illegal, to privately do that. So I don't know. They won't take you over the continent. They say it's too dangerous.
I've seen the flights that they have for sale. I mean, they're expensive as hell, but like there are flights that you can take straight over the Antarctica, the South Pole. But you have to train for them because it's apparently it's a continent covered with ice. There's not going to be any emergency landing strips, no refuel. There's nothing. If anything happens flying over that whole continent, you're screwed. So I guess it's a big deal.
I would, from my understanding, commercial flights over the continent is illegal and not approved because they have no, like you said, they have no infrastructure or communicative abilities in case of any type of emergency. So, but yeah, if a plane was going to claim to go over and I could verify where we were and where we were going, sure, I'd be open to allegedly fly over Antarctica. Yeah.
Okay. One thing from GG, they said, can you ask Witsit if he ever plans to bring an experiment or publish a paper? You plan on doing that ever?
I've done many experiments. Like I manipulate the vector of objects with electrostatics all the time using a Van de Graaff generator, which proves that electrostatics causes.
Oh my god!
All these things to go up and down, and you can manipulate the weight. You can change the weight of an object, and you can change the downward
vector.
vector.
Van de Graaff generator, bitch! You have no idea who you're fucking talking to.
So you're saying I can't?
No, I'm saying my name is Michael Jennison Van de Graaff. You can look me up. I am a PhD physicist at Stanford University, and Van de Graaff was my grandfather.
Awesome. And you should definitely know that you can manipulate the weight of objects with Van de Graaff generators then.
How awesome is that, bro? I was like, it's like, I guess he thought that was going to like intimidate me. I'm like, yay. That's like one of the reasons I wanted to show it to you guys. I thought that was hilarious. And he is who he says he is, which is why this is hilarious.
You aren't manipulating the weight. You are adding an extra force. I cannot believe this.
This is going to get funny. So when you say we're adding an extra force, are you claiming it's not there before it? Are you claiming that it wasn't there previously?
Well, not in quantity. You need to add electric charge to an object in order for the electric force to push it.
Okay, but it was already there. You're manipulating the electrostatics, which then causes electrostatic
which
induction.
Which were not already there. What do you mean? Which were already there? Were the electrons there, or was the electron deficit there, or not?
Dude, do you guys see how like? Oh my gosh, do you guys see how bad it is? Like, bruh. Yeah, everyone go smash the like video. We're gonna go watch the ISS live stream. Do you guys want to watch the ISS live stream? Go smash the like. Go smash the like. Kaz just made up a circumnavigation flight. I need you guys to go smash the like. I don't know if the volume's all right coming through the mic because a few people told me I was a little bit low. I'm about to make the show go super slow till you smash the like button for show. You guys, we smash the like, please. All right, moving on. This guy's grandfather was the guy who invented it. Therefore, he still doesn't understand the base. They always say, you added a force. And it's like, no, the force was already there. Everything's intrinsically electrostatic, and that's 10 to 36 power stronger than gravity is even claimed to be on the smallest scale. All molecular and intermolecular attractive force are electrostatic in nature. Oh, that's a script. Like, yeah, I have it memorized because I have that's how my brain works, right? I have the ability to retention of information is something that I can do, but that doesn't mean it's not true. And I have to keep saying the same thing because you guys don't actually ever seem to understand it. Okay. There's always an electric and magnetic constant. I think I might cover that, so let's not get too redundant.
Because you're adding that
all objects are intrinsically electrostatic, and there's always an electric constant in the medium around it, even in a vacuum chamber or a grounded chamber. So yeah, you're
That
manipulating
doesn't
the
mean that
amount
there's
of
a net charge. There's not always a net charge that's different from zero.
Okay, you can say there's not a
That's
net
the
charge.
relevant thing.
You can say there's no net charge. That doesn't equate to no charge. So like if I take
Yes,
the Van de Graaff generator, why does it go?
It equates to net force though, which is why it's moving. An object moves according to the net force upon it.
Okay,
not according
there's a net
to
force down, right? That's the point. And so the question is, if I have
not when you turn on the
surfaces,
Van de Graaff generator.
maybe you can help me out here. So if I have two surfaces and then I put like a little piece of styrofoam in there and then I turn the Van de Graaff generator, what happens is the styrofoam goes up to the top plate. And that's because we flip the polarity of the field between the two plates, which means before I flip the polarity, it was going down. So why is it that you think it's not somehow electric causing it to go down? Because it provably is.
Just because there's a force that does something doesn't mean that's the only force that does it.
Can you prove the other question?
Yes.
Why is this different? All flat earthers, though, they don't understand there's more than one force per thing. You can have multiple forces.
In what way would you like me to prove the other?
Okay, so what we just did was we just.
You guys see what they do? It's so funny. This is why I'm blown away that so many flat earthers haven't taken this on yet. Because every time that you actually talk to people and they go through the combo, they get to where they're like, oh yeah, well, what you're saying is true, but there's actually something else there. That doesn't mean that's all that's there. You're like, okay, well, we verified ours. Can you prove yours? And they can't. They obviously can't prove space-time bending and warping. So it's just a concession. That's all it is. Scientific. We actually use science, right? We use an experiment. So we're like, there's no downward acceleration though. Like, who told you that? Who told you that? FED. There's no downward acceleration. What are you talking about? We can consistently measure how fast things go down. It's not always exactly 9.81, but there is, when things go down, they have downward acceleration. We can measure a downward electric current on the Earth. It's measurable. It's provable. There is a downward electric current that comes from the sky down to the Earth. You can go out in the world and you can measure it. You can manipulate it. You can measure it. You can use it to run a generator. You can use it to run a Corona motor, which is an electrostatic generator. Do you have a Van de Graaff generator? Yes. Yes. Which is actually Zach's, and let me borrow it. So what do you talk? We do have a downward bias. We do have a downward electric current, and things that go down accelerate downward. I don't get it. I don't understand. Why are flat earthers so scared of this? I don't even care. You know, I'm not a flat earther. I'm a true earther. Moving on. Our hypothesis: electrostatics manipulates the vector of an object. Then we manipulate the independent variable. You speak the truth. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. The Nacho friend, thank you for the $5 super chat and the support, bro.
Do an experiment that would demonstrate to you that gravity exists. If you are of the opinion that gravity doesn't exist, and if you are not of that opinion, clarify what we have been arguing about this whole time.
I am of the opinion that gravity is electric. You're claiming that it's the bending and warping of space-time. So I use an experiment to show that the manipulation of electrostatics can manipulate the vector of an object. Can you give me an experiment where you manipulate the bending and warping of space-time?
What does that?
See, this is a tactic. I don't know what it's called. I'm sure maybe someone in the chat. Like, it's a tactic that people do that they want to like focus in on something that you said and try and like use semantical diversion to make sure they don't actually have to address the like meat of the point. That's all that is, obviously. That's what he's like, oh, you said vector? Yeah, magnitude and direction. The direction the object's going, you can manipulate that with electrostatics. You know what I'm saying? You just realize that you messed up and you can't actually substantiate the space-time claim. I substantiated my claim. My claim's scientific. You can actually prove it, right? You can actually show that's the case with science. So like if we have a shelf here and we're going to put scientifically viable information on the shelf or hypotheses. Okay, electrostatics causes things to go up or down. Well, let's do an experiment. Observation, things go down. Okay, so not everything goes down, but something goes down. Okay, observation, thing goes down. Okay, hypothesis. The electrostatic relationship from the object and the medium causes object to go down. It causes directionality. Let's test the hypothesis. We're going to manipulate the independent variable known as electrostatics, and we're going to change the directionality. That proves that it is a cause of the effect of directionality. Now, can we do the same thing with spacetime? No. So what gets put on the shelf? Electrostatics. What doesn't get put on the shelf? Religious spacetime. That's the point.
That mean?
Vector, magnitude, and direction. So can you please tell me an experiment?
That's not an answer. The vector of an object is a completely nonsensical term. What is the vector of an object?
It's the magnitude and direction that the object goes.
That the object goes. That's the velocity vector. That is a component of calculating, for example, the Lorentz force, which is the force in a magnetic field. But it is not a well-defined. No, you said the vector of an object. You don't know what you're talking about, dude.
No, the direction that the object goes and what
That's a
magnitude it goes
velocity
that.
vector.
Okay.
What magnitude? What speed? That's just the velocity. That's just the
Does that
velocity.
make you feel like you somehow rebutted me or something? Because you
No, but it made me feel like I finally understand what you were trying to get at, which I now understand is just a collection of words that you put together because you have no idea what you're talking about.
Can you get a bunch?
Okay, so obviously that's all fallacious.
But your colleagues debate me. I need more people like you to show that you guys can't debate me even with your credentials because you're not answering my question.
Literally none of us care. None of us care.
That's why you're on a Flat Earth after show. So if you could answer my question, that would be cool because I'm.
What you're talking about.
Can you get a bunch of your colleagues debate me? I need more people like you to show that you guys can't debate me even with your credentials because you're not answering my question.
Literally none of us care. None of us care.
That's why you're on a Flat Earth after show. So if you could answer my question, that would be cool because I know Ivy League school people that do care and they say that the Earth is flat, which is awkward. So if you could tell me, did you do an experiment to prove and manipulate the bending and warping of space-time, or is it just a belief that you have because you have an Einsteinian religion?
What would qualify, in your opinion, as an experiment that would demonstrate that there is a downward force of something, like some phenomenon somehow? I'm not necessarily like Mossbauer effect. Fine. You know what? I'm going to skip straight to the thing. The Mossbauer effect.
What? I don't dispute that there's a downward force.
Is?
I don't dispute that there's a downward
force. Fine. Oh, then what would qualify? Gravitational redshift? Would that qualify?
Gravitational redshift of what specifically?
Of a photon, because that's what redshift from a lower altitude to a higher altitude. If you release a photon at the ground and you intercept it at the top of the building,
Hey, by the way, you obviously don't release a photon. That isn't real life. You don't isolate singular pseudoscientific reified particles called photons that are simultaneously waves and all this nonsense. That's people just say stuff. When you release a photon, that doesn't happen. That's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not trying to divert because I don't dispute the phenomena of like redshift and blue shift, but it's just ridiculous. And how do you not understand that if I'm saying there's a downward electric current on the Earth, and then you try to invoke evidence that shows there's a downward bias that doesn't rebut me, that only strengthens my position? Like, how do people not? I don't know. It's weird.
Will it have the same wavelength?
No.
Why?
Because there's a downward force. I just said that.
Why does that mean that
there's a downward electric current on the Earth? Even in a vacuum chamber, there's an electric constant.
Hold on. Photons are electrically neutral. They do not have a charge. So there is no downward force on the photons.
Oh, yeah.
Photons.
Okay. Photons are actually pseudoscience, but we won't get in.
Absolutely they're not. How are photons pseudoscience?
Because you claim that they're a wave particle duality, and really it's a dielectric pulse of like, the excitation or perturbation of the background medium that is the ether. You call that light, you call it photons.
Why the fuck do why do you talk like you have something to say? I've listened to you debate like a couple times, and I just came.
Dude, this part is hilarious. This part's hilarious. I'm going to actually go normal speed for this part because this is so funny, dude. This person, you got to think about it. Think about it logically. Think about it objectively without bias. The fact that people are emotionally obsessed with this conversation and filled with vitriolic hatred of like people like me that argue or debate it is weird. Like, if you think Flat Earth is super stupid and all this, like, emotional obsession with it is objectively weird, right? Like,
photons.
Okay. Photons are actually pseudoscience, but we won't get in. I mean,
absolutely are not. How are photons pseudoscience?
Because you claim that they're a wave particle duality, and really it's a dielectric pulse of like, the excitation or perturbation of the background medium that is the ether. You call that light. You call it a photon.
Listen, why the fuck do you have? Why do you talk like you have something to say? I've listened to you debate like a couple times, and I just came on here to say how much of a retard you are. Like, that's it.
Why are you so emotional?
You seem so emotional
don't use that
whenever you've debated anybody. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're a child. You're phony. You are the biggest like pseudoscience grift. I cannot believe that people believe in flat Earth. You should be ashamed of yourself for being so fucking stupid.
I think it's weird that you would be so like obsessed with my opinion, though.
And there she goes. She's out. Really,
bro, how funny is that? Isn't that like kind of crazy? I don't know. If I see it a lot, so I'm like desensitized to it, but it's still kind of crazy, right? Like, am I tripping? Like, that was kind of crazy. Like, whoa, you got me, lady.
Thing. I have it pulled up here. Where does it say it's illegal? Because it starts off with, what is the header of this? Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purposes. And there's only 7 signees.
Wait, like at that point got buried, okay? So did you see what happened, right? So I said, look, we actually manipulated the vector of the object, the magnitude and direction of the object. So you can change the downward acceleration, the weight, and the direction that the object goes By manipulating electrostatics, you have electrostatic induction, which is the transfer of the electrostatic nature of the medium to the object. And you have a polarity reversal when you use a Van de Graaff generator. Flipping the polarity causes the object to go up or down because, of course, when you have two plates, you're going to have basically the energy trying to seek equilibrium relative to its environment. So you're going to have, like on the Earth, we have a downward current from the sky down to the ground, okay? Seeking equilibrium to the ground, grounding out. And that's where it then finds an ability to seek equilibrium at the ground. That's why we ground objects. That's why it's called the ground, okay? So that being said, like we can physically manipulate the variable of electrostatics and shows that it changes the direction the objects go and even changes the weight of an object. It changes how fast an object goes down. So we verified that there's a direct cause and effect relationship between electrostatics and the weight or the downward acceleration of an object. Okay. We verified it scientifically. Now, your argument as a glober is this. Well, that's just an additional variable. You can manipulate electrostatics to do all those things that we attribute gravity to. But in fact, gravity is there and that's just an additional force. You're adding a force. Well, can't say that you added a force because it was already there. It's always there. Everything is intrinsically electrostatic, even in a Van de Graaff or even in like a vacuum chamber, you have an electric and magnetic constant. It's called the impedance of free space, 377 ohms. You also have, you always have an electric constant, no matter what you do. You can't remove that variable. So you didn't add it, you manipulated it. You manipulated what was already there, which would make sense if it's the cause, it's always there. That makes sense. You're claiming there's something else there. You need to verify it. Complete tangent over on what vector is. Obviously didn't actually rebut my position on that. Then starts talking about, I'm just gonna say it like he had something in the chamber that was a home run. And he brings up the redshift of photons, right? And I said, photons are actually pseudoscience, right? Which they are, because when you're like, oh, photons aren't electric, photons don't have a charge, photons don't have magnetic properties. The truth is that light is electromagnetic radiation. So it's oscillating fields, right? So you have an oscillating electric field and magnetic field. So it's electric and magnetic, electromagnetic radiation. You can't have light without electromagnetic radiation. They claim there's a little particle inside of that that's neither electric nor magnetic, and it's massless. And you can't actually prove that it's there other than assuming that it's there. And it's also a wave at the same time as it is a particle. So then they say, look, that thing that, by the way, isn't actually there. It doesn't have a charge and it doesn't have magnetic properties. Well, if there's nothing there, of course it doesn't have a charge. And of course it doesn't have magnetic properties. It is literally enveloped in your own paradigm in electromagnetic radiation. So the fact that something goes up against this downward electric current and we see like a red or blue shift relative to which direction it's going, that supports my position. So I don't care that you have a PhD at Stanford, bro. Like that doesn't mean anything. So anyway. Well, there's way more than
7 countries. I'm looking at
now. There's like 59
sites. It's right here.
That was signed in 58, man. That was signed in 58. There's like 58 countries now, or more than that.
There's 58 countries. I'm looking at the document, the official website that tells me what I need to know.
It's from 1958, bro. Actually, it's 1959.
This website.
NASA was founded in 58, Antarctic Treaty 59.
It's from 2004.
But I'm saying the original document that it's showing. We need a Glober outburst compilation. That's hilarious. That'd be awesome. It's from 1958.
I'm not looking at the document.
Sometimes I don't understand how Austin has this good of a memory. Honestly, like I just have had the conversation so many times in so many different ways that it's kind of like ingrained in my mind. And I do kind of have an aptitude for retention.
I'm looking at the website that gives me an overview from the official company or from the official.
Yeah, they've had it. Dude, companies have now, since then, have agreed to sign the treaty since its original inception. Every major world country in the world, every major world superpower is signed to it in the whole world. So, I mean, this is not an argument. This is just like the other guy was saying. Like, if you guys would be honest, it'd be better.
Oh yeah, there you go. Let's see.
You shouldn't argue Antarctic.
They put it at the bottom because they are bad at website layout. The total number. This is on them, not you. I will give you this with it. At the fucking bottom of the page, the total number of parties to the treaty is now 54, which is irrelevant because the total number of countries is 180 something. So it's less than half.
Like two.
I don't think there's that many. There's not 200.
There's definitely in the 200s. But anyway, no, actually, I think I'm wrong about that. But like, how is that relevant? All the major world countries are in agreement to the Antarctic Treaty. Oh no, there's this random country over here that's not. Okay. What does that have to do with anything? Nothing. You can't go there. It's known that the world powers enforce the treaty for the countries that aren't specifically a part of it. You can't just go there. Or we could just get a bunch of different flat earthers and any countries other than those 54, and they could just freely go to Antarctica and do whatever they want to. Of course not. It's a ridiculous argument. It's always a ridiculous argument. Again, this is my point. If the Earth's a ball, the way that people argue for it is so bad. It's like, can I get someone that's like good, bro? Can I get like, there's got to be someone good, right? Do we need money? Do we need to start a GoFundMe to where we can pay someone with like prominence to debate me on like a live, like on stage or something? Like what, how do we pull this off? Because we need someone that actually debates it good. So then someone can watch and be like, what's really going on? That's what debate is. That's why it's valuable. And I can't find, I'm now having to dive outside of flat earth. I'm now having to get debates about creationism and objective morality. And like, I'm gonna have to start debating other stuff just to try to get prominent people to show their face. Right. Because it's like, it's just getting bad out here. Else we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Anyway. Maybe I'm wrong, actually. I don't know. I'll be right back. I'm going to play this for a second. I'll be right back.
195.
What is it?
195.
Okay.
That's a very nice even number. That's right.
Which there could be a new one made tomorrow, I guess. But anyway, the point is that you can't go there, man. So, I mean, we can pretend you can. You can technically go there, but you can't go there freely and privately. So I'm just trying to understand, like, why do people ignore that everything's electric and we can actually prove it and that space-time is just a fairy tale? It's just pseudoscience. I talk to people all the time. They're like, most of us know relativity is wrong. Most of us know it's incomplete best guess.
It has a common ground. During the debate, the machines I was talking about, they're all grounded. Like, what is, do you think, what's causing that? If they all have the same exact, what is that? Go ahead and explain how it works.
We got to get into what is density, which is compactness of matter, what holds the matter together to give it compactness, right? Well, it's intermolecular forces. Like all intermolecular forces are electrostatic in nature. So the only way you even have matter is electric. Like that, everything that exists, wood, rubber, you name it, it's all electrostatic in nature. That's what all intermolecular forces are. So you can't have density or mass or any matter itself without something electric holding it together. So then you have a density relationship between the density of the medium. You have an electrostatic relationship that gives you electrostatic induction, that gives you buoyancy, which you actually do the buoyancy equation with the little g, but little g is just downward acceleration. So you can solve that for the kinematic equation or with electric bias.
Well, just because it exists doesn't make a thing. Like I have a really, really expensive vase in my house. This is my house. This is the garage in my house, and the podium it's on is bolted into the ground so it doesn't fall off during earthquake. Because in California there's earthquakes. That doesn't mean that everything in my house is only staying on the ground because it's bolted to the floor. It's like it's not. It's the same thing with the forces. Just because one force exists does not mean that there are not others in play.
I agree.
It's not isolated. There's no isolation. Everything is doing it together.
I agree. So just because electrostatics is there, that doesn't mean that that's the only thing there. Of course not. You have to prove what else is there. You can just make up stories. How would you go about doing that though? If I ask you right now, Witsit, I'm willing to do whatever experiment. Please lay out how you want me to show you that gravity is a thing. Is this where the guy showed his credentials and stuff like that? I can't remember. I saw someone say, "What about Destiny?" Yeah, like I was given Destiny's Discord. I'm gonna like start jumping in there, throwing some ripples around, let it get over to him, and I'm gonna set up a debate with Destiny. I'm gonna set up a debate with a bunch of people that I guess they kind of do this and have a little bit of traction. What I'm gonna need is like comment warriors, meaning once we I hate to use this word, but like determine the next target, then we need a bunch of people going in their servers and respectfully and professionally, or do not pretend to be on behalf of me. Okay, going in the comment section again, respectfully and professionally, and in their discords and stuff, and saying like, "Yo, debate Witsit, debate Witsit, debate Witsit," and then we'll start getting these more prominent debates going, because it's kind of like the only way forward at this point, so we can kind of get to the bottom of this.
The way we say, go.
Well, it's very difficult, and I apologize with how difficult it is, but you'd have to actually fully control the variable of electrostatics and the electric constant inside of a vacuum, or even you can't. Oh. Destiny's so dishonest. The guy who talks fast. Destiny's hardcore double speaking state. Like, he's not terrible at debating. So, I mean, yeah, he's not great, but he's not like comparably. He's not that bad at something. You objectively can. There's a free space impedance, an electric and magnetic constant, even inside a vacuum chamber. There's clearly a background, by the way. Quantum field theory says that it's a field of backgrounds with excitations that manifests as particles and all this nonsense, because there's an ether which is making a Nixonian comeback to quote a Nobel Prize winner. A Nixonian comeback to quote a Nobel Prize winner. The ether will come back. It's a Nobel Prize winner. So Frank Wilczek.
Oh, that's his name?
No, he just.
And yet you don't know. Wait, so you know about that Nobel Prize, but you don't know about the laser cooling Nobel Prizes?
Yeah, am I supposed to know every Nobel Prize ever? How is that even? What does that do with
my point was you basically just brushed off the whole idea of having a cold enough gas which would only fall down, because I guess you don't.
My goodness, dude. Like, these people are just awful, dude. They can't debate at all. But the guy that I was just quoting is actually from this book right here. Frank Wilczek, Mass Ether and the Unification of Forces. I believe that was his quote. I can't remember. I mean, he does specifically say that there has to be an ether. Anyway.
Understand kinetic energy as it relates to particles like atoms?
I didn't brush it off. It just wasn't a rebuttal to my position. It was a red herring fallacy.
It absolutely was a rebuttal to your position.
I directly rebutted it.
Understand why? You did not.
I said for it to be analogous to the top of the atmosphere. You're saying the atmosphere would be cold. That's why the gas doesn't expand into the vacuum. But the thermosphere is.
It is cold. It is cold enough that it doesn't expand. If the atmosphere was 1,000 times hotter, it would go higher than it is now.
The thermosphere and exosphere are considered hot, though, right? I mean, am I tripping? According to your paradigm, that's the hottest portion of the atmosphere.
What is the top?
I'm saying if the whole thing, yeah, that doesn't. There's not a maximum heat. as far as I
it's
know.
not cold.
So
I mean, there's a maximum heat in the
yes, it is cold. It is cold. It's cold enough to not go into space, except for the ones who do.
I would say 987 degrees Celsius is pretty high, right? So I would say if the particles of air in the exosphere are as hot as 987 degrees Celsius, that's probably pretty hot.
Go into space because guess what? Thermal distributions are Boltzmann distributions, and they have long, long tails with a lot of hot little particles way far away. It's how you cool things down. You remove those, and then you let the thing redistribute.
Would it be like a really big deal if you found out that the current model of the Earth wasn't true? Would it like really destroy your like world?
No.
I feel like you
What
guys.
do you
would,
mean?
like,
I think we would just keep go. Why would we go to Witsit? I don't care about the shape of the Earth, as in like emotionally. I'm not gonna cry if the globe goes away.
as long as everyone else would agree.
No,
with you,
hold
then
on.
you'd be fine
I'm
with
gonna
it,
give
but-
him this one. I'm gonna give him this one. Like, yeah. Okay? Because
cry.
I understand
No, he's saying if it turned out to be a
problems
conspiracy.
so much better than you that
He's
you
saying
can't
if it
even
was
comprehend it. No, if it's true that the Earth was flat,
Yeah, in that
it would
world.
it would require.
Well, it would make
Yeah, I gotta slow this down because this is hilarious, dude. He couldn't even help but take the bait.
I feel like you
What do
guys.
you
would
mean?
go this.
It's down. You remove
Would you,
those,
like-
and then you let the thing redistribute.
Would it be like a really big deal if you found out that the current model of the Earth wasn't true? Would it like really destroy your like world?
no.
I feel like you
What do
guys.
you
would, like,
mean?
go
I
into
think we would
depression
just
for a
keep
second.
go. Why would we go into Witsit? I don't care about the shape of the Earth, as in like
no,
emotionally.
I'm
I'm not
give
gonna
him this
cry
one.
if the
I'm gonna-
globe goes away.
I'm gonna give
As
him
long as
this
everyone
one.
else would agree
No,
with you,
hold
then
on.
you'd be fine
I'm
with
gonna
it,
give
but-
him this one. I'm gonna give him this one. Like, yeah. Okay?
Okay.
Would you
Because
cry?
I understand
No, he's saying if it turned
these
out to be a
problems
conspiracy.
so much better than you.
I understand these problems so much better than you, as we literally just watched him get thoroughly exposed with each and every single point that he made. You see the problem with scientism? The idea that if you have credentials, you're automatically superior to whoever you're debating, and that you can dismiss whatever they say, which is a credentials fallacy, basically saying if you don't have said credentials, your point is automatically invalid or wrong. Your point, your argument is wrong because you don't have the credentials to discuss this. It's called a credentials fallacy. You see the danger in the cult of scientism, where I'm just a guy that thinks for myself. I just want to find the evidence. I want to boil it down to empirical evidence. Sometimes I'm limited to speculation, but it's always built upon empirical evidence. I preface that it's speculative and I'm trying to figure out the truth. I just think for myself. I don't have some blind devotion to the cult of scientism, and typically built upon this weirdo need to cling on to moral relativism. You see the danger in it, where he just got exposed with everything you brought up, using red herring fallacies, blatantly running away from my positions over and over and over. And then blatantly contradicting himself, saying, oh, the gas doesn't go into space because it's cold, when it's like in his model, the hottest at the top, right? And then he can just baselessly say, I know so much more about all of this than you, because he's got his PhD. You see the danger in scientism? It's pathetic, bro. It's the same thing that just raped and pillaged our freedoms for the last 2 years, is this whole cult of science. Trust the science.
That
He's
you
saying
can't
if it
even
was
comprehend
true.
it.
That I know so much more of this that you can't even comprehend it. What kind of freaking statement is that?
Understand
No, he's saying if it
these
turned out to be a
problems
conspiracy.
so much better than you that
He's
you
saying
can't
if it
even
was
comprehend it. No, if it's true that the Earth was flat,
Yeah, in that
it would be-
world.
it would require
Well, it would make everything wrong.
it would require a meddling trickster
Gremlin.
deity to screw with the perceptions of every individual.
I have a few degrees. I never cite them. How desperate must one be to cite them? Basically admitting your arguments cannot stand on their own merit. Yeah, exactly, bro. It's a trip. You know, it's funny. What he just said is actually like the opposite of the case, right? If the Earth is a spinning ball that's like tilted, wobbling, flying through space, there has to be some trickster deity that made everything look the opposite, right? Like we don't experience rotation, but the Earth is spinning. We don't experience a tilt wobbling, but the Earth is wobbling. We experience a horizontal horizon. Like go look up the etymology of the word horizontal. It comes from horizon. Okay. but it's actually curving. We see the stuff in the sky moving, but it's actually not moving. We see the sun and the moon as if they're the same size, but they're actually not the same size. The sun is 400 times the diameter of the moon, and coincidentally, exactly 400 times further away, so it looks like they're the same size. He blatantly projects, and that's like the psychological projection is like the number one reoccurring theme of people that vehemently oppose the idea of true Earth. It's like, no, if you believe that, you believe everything's an illusion. You like, oh, well, during the Selenilian eclipse, the sun and moon are both above the Earth at the same time, and we can observe it, but actually the sun and moon are actually below the Earth, and just it's an optical illusion that makes them look like they're up above it. Like you have to believe everything's like all the mass or the energy distribution from the Earth makes us look like we're at the center, but no, actually we would look like we're at the center no matter where we are in the universe, and we're actually not in the center at all. We have no special position whatsoever. We're just randomly placed as a little tiny speck in this huge vacuum of nothingness. Everything that you believe is the opposite. If what you believe is true, then a creator would have to make it in such a way that every one of your experiences and empirical observations using Occam's razor as the default position is incorrect and actually inverse of the actual reality of the world. So it's just blatant projection. All right, sorry, I kind of ranted.
It would require.
Well, it would make everything wrong.
It would require a meddling trickster
Gremlin.
deity to screw with the perceptions of every individual.
So weird. Michaela Glenn, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Much love. Joe W, thank you for the $20 super sticker. Much love, brother. Thank you, guys.
There's just
the sun looks like it moves in the sky throughout the day, but actually it sits still while we move. And during a sunset, we're falling backwards away from it. And every morning during sunrise, we're taking an epic nosedive towards it as it sits still and just looks like it moves, and we feel like we don't move.
way too much obvious. All you need to understand that the Earth is round is a knowledge of the night sky, light travels in mostly a straight line, and a furrowed brow. If you can't get there, I'm just not. I'm not sympathetic.
Bro, like, do you guys see it, dude? It's like when they have credentials, they're even worse because it's normally accompanied with arrogance. So their arguments are even worse than the people like in the trenches. Like, all you need to know is that light mostly travels in a straight line, which I could obviously just tear that completely apart, right? Because light doesn't travel, actually. There's no evidence that light travels other than you assuming it because that's what it looks like, when in reality, we have superluminal propagation up to 3 times the speed of light and coaxial cables of 200 meters. Even Tesla had 1.5 superluminal propagation, 1.5 C. We have like all kinds of observations. And then the mere idea of instantaneous action at distance refutes it. You have this duality paradox of being a particle and a wave, which are contradictory at the same time, when clearly they're neither one of those things, right? And light is actually either perturbation, excitation was already there. I don't want to get into all that. But my point is, like, first of all, that's an assumption. Secondly, if we take your assumption as if light traveled from point to point in a straight line somehow means that the Earth must be a ball, is so absurd that I can't even fathom it. And of course, if there's different layer density mediums, then what does light do? In order to believe the globe, you guys claim that almost all the time when you go look at stuff on the Earth, the light isn't traveling in a straight line. It's curving around the ball at the perfect rate to lift things up hundreds of miles away to make it look like the Earth is flat. So it's like really crazy. It's like, that's one of the worst arguments I've ever heard, I think.
I really am not.
That's pretty bad.
Don't care.
Shane, I think you're muted, Shane. I think you're muted. Someone.
The new guy's muted, I think.
Yeah. And now Cass is muted. Maybe you're not. Maybe you don't get
Okay, here we go. Sorry. Shane's here. He's a flat earther as well. And then I have another flat earther in the Quay. So I will start your timer, Shane, when you start talking. And you'll have 5 minutes to talk. And then we'll switch to Aetherbird. Go ahead.
Who?
I'm not going to stay on here too much longer. We'll do a little bit more, though. Can't hear you.
Lemonbird? Is Lemonbird coming in here?
Aetherbird or
Aetherbird.
Shane, you must be muted like on your end, like your mic.
Like space.
Currently worshiping?
Due to what?
Do you know anything about the religion that you're currently worshiping?
Like,
you know the historical significance?
Yes, what's it? Do they take a net as the rocket goes up and scoop them all up and then like put them in a secret on there? Right. These
line sight in the orbit. Got it.
Yes, as in when it's on the other side of the Earth, it says,
Yeah,
"Hi,
see
I
it.
can't
Yeah,
hear you
makes sense.
guys." And then when it comes up in the predicted orbit that we have predicted, because you don't just shoot up into space and say, "I hope it fucking orbits." It's
Mad debating these glow folks is a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. Well, that's what's up. But how many people have you woke up to the fact that we were misled about where we live? Because I get like I get like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails saying that the debates are actually what wake them up. They're the cosmological deception. So I would just have to disagree with you, I suppose. I'm like trying to convert Jehovah's Witness to Mormonism. I'm not trying to convert the Globers, though. Like, I'm not trying to convert the person I'm trying to debate. First of all, I don't proselytize people. I'm not trying to convert anyone. It's just for the edification of the audience. It has nothing to do with the person I'm debating. And also tons of true earthers. I don't like flat earth. The word is kind of psyopy, but tons of true earthers reach out to me and say that they learn a lot from the debates as well. So I'm just going to have to respectfully disagree.
It's all calculated beforehand. When it reaches that point, you can go, hey, look, there it is. Hey, look, here's the information that I was expecting to receive. I received it, whether it be a picture, data, whatever you put on there, right? It's not just arbitrarily, I put up a thing and I forget about it, and then my computer beeps some numbers. Like, it's involved.
Yeah, but I could write a program that'll return you the same data that you think you're getting from that satellite.
Well, no, because novel data. It's not.
Best topic to develop logic and reasoning skills. Yeah, I think it's got to be one of the best, right? For sure, because it's just it's such a wide subject that there's so many different avenues to be able to do that. I love the debates, word things. Dude, like the truth of the matter is I kind of got to where I didn't want to do them. And I'm going to branch out to other subjects. And it's like, I love debating because I think it's important for society, right? I think it always has been. I think it's important for like, just like he said, like logical development. But they are somewhat reiterative and even mundane at this point because it's like, they just aren't good. Like the people coming to the table aren't very good at it. But I think this subject is, regardless of where you fall on the subject, like it really brings things into the open. It's like, wow, so like all these people are just worshiping a cult of scientism. If you didn't put that together the last 2 years, I don't know where you've been, or I guess 3 years now, right? But yeah, that's very dangerous, man, where people just assume that everything that someone with a piece of paper says is science, when in reality it's almost never science. It's like almost always pseudoscience in the realm of cosmology. You can't perform science on the sky. So it's like, yeah, I think it's important.
It's not. It's novel
that's a
data.
proof. It doesn't prove anything, man.
Love your debates, and you're one of the best I've ever seen. Thank you, man. Much love. You know how high they go? They go like 20 kilometers high.
Here's your options. It's either real or you have a team of people.
He's talking about satellite again.
No, guys,
yeah, Newton was an optimist.
We'll cover the satellites in the future. Yeah, and he said gravity was the act of God.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
so you guys love Newton, and he literally said gravity had to be the act of God. And he said, please don't attribute the idea that it would work through the vastness of a vacuum of space without a medium interacting with it. Do not attribute that to me, because I think that's so great an absurdity that any man with competent faculty of thinking could never fall into it. You guys act like he's like, oh, gravity. Yeah, I think it's more like he was talking about like the idea that gravity could act, innate brute matter could act on other innate brute matter through the vastness of a vacuum without something acting as an intermediary medium is to me so great an absurdity that no man with competent faculty of thinking in philosophical matters could ever fall into it. And then he said it must be God. It must be an act of God. That's the only thing that gravity could be, because of like how illogical it is. He said, please don't attribute that to me. And I've left it up to the consideration of my readers as to whether or not it's material or immaterial. And then he was one of the first people that really was hyper specific about an ether proposal. And he said that there was an ether. Just funny because they still revere Newton. And they misrepresent what happened. And relativity falls apart so often that they always revert back into Newton, even though Newtonian physics doesn't work at all for their little model paradigm of the heliocentric model. And I'm going to start putting together presentations hyper specific, and that's what the School and Globers will be. And then we'll have like a quiz section and all this. But I've just been trying to put a bunch of stuff together. So yeah, stay tuned. We got a lot coming. We're about to launch the relatively simple. Then I'm going to start. I want to do like a little logic breakdown as well. But anyway, maybe on, because I'm not going to stay on here much longer, maybe 30 minutes. Gravity works through the vacuum of space. And he literally said it was so absurd that if you were even slightly competent, you would think that.
I mean,
I don't think anybody here said that.
That's what I'm just telling you.
When did it? Okay, fine, but I did not say that Newton said it acted through the vacuum of space. I have no idea how Newton thought it acted. I don't really care. Newton did his whole demonstration of gravity in the painstakingly obtuse proof system that was in vogue at the time, using geometrical proofs for everything. And algebra is just so much freaking easier. It's maddening.
That's just so weird, dude. Like, you guys never know anything, but so like the way that it was first proposed, the idea of heliocentrism was like a geometric model alone. Newton was the first time that the idea of dynamic forces were introduced to explain the mechanism of motion. You know, the mathematical construct utilized is irrelevant. Like, it wasn't simply geometric. It was the whole point is that it had progressed from geometric to the dynamic forces required to provide a mechanism of movement. But you guys just don't get your belief. This is why people believe it. That's why it's such a hard spell to break, because it's so convoluted. It requires so much re-education, right? And it's like, yo, that's why I think it's beautiful truth, true earth, and I'm not claiming to know exactly what the earth is. But I think it's a beautiful thing because you don't just get to have it. You have to earn it. You have to like look and really diligently seek out the truth. And it's, for those who have love of the truth are the ones who get it. Yeah, algebra's pretty easy.
I had to learn that crap in college. It was awful.
All right, brother. Well, I'm just letting you know that you're in a belief system that was built upon ontological premise. So it's like,
But
accept
it's not, because we have satellites.
What belief system is not
that
built
we have
upon an
done
ontological
ourselves.
premise?
I know aerospace.
He doesn't get my whole point is that it's not science, it's a religion, bro. How do you understand it?
It's engineers, Dell, that say that the
Witsit.
Earth's flat, bro. So
Witsit,
you should
it's
think
not
about what
person.
you're saying.
In college.
Great stuff. I love School and the Glober shows. Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you for the $5 super chat. They're going to get way better. The School and the Glober shows are going to get way more entertaining. They're going to be cool.
Me, Divin, I did it. I got stuff from the ISS. I received the signal myself.
Okay. I studied math, and with statistics, you can prove anything. Quote from one of my teachers. Yeah, I mean, just look at the last 3 years again. You got creepy little Bill Gates, How to Lie with Statistics. I think everyone should have to read that book. I've only read through parts of it. I can obviously understand the concept pretty well, but I don't know. Obviously, the NPCs cannot.
I sent up a CubeSat with a company myself. I did this. It's not Billy down the road. It's not I know a guy who knows a guy. I know because I did it. I can show you how to do. I didn't track the ISS.
Wow. He built a cube, bro. Earth defies physics, man. Everyone pack it up.
But I did.
Data from it. I know, but I can show anyone else who's
I think there's a couple funny more parts with this guy. This guy is interesting to me because I see water I see blood in the water when I see credentials. If I hear PhD, I start to salivate.
You put a video. So it takes
math.
So they do it publicly. This is a public thing that they do.
We should just do the math first.
Sorry, do the math for a minute and a half, and how far away 252 miles is, and how fast it would be going with the speed of light.
My brain was going back.
It's crazy, bro. It's like, I don't know. You guys should watch this. I'm like, yeah, you guys think you verify distances. You obviously have a medium assumption. You get the duration of the propagation, and then you put that into the presupposed medium to then get an actual alleged distance. Blah blah blah. But yeah, you guys can watch it. I'll drop the link in the chat.
About releasing a gas and seeing why doesn't it fill the container, and you can do the math on that pretty easily. You just set 1/2 mv squared equal to mgh and use the mean velocity of something at a temperature, and you could just calculate it, and you're getting at a finite number because space exists.
I cannot hear you, Ethan, if you're talking.
No, I haven't really said anything yet. What Tapioca Weasel just said, I find kind of interesting. I mean, you're including the centripetal force of the Earth with that calculation, and you're including all the actual weight of the supposed.
But that's not the receiver, and you receive the stuff. YouTube right now do this too. And you have enough money, you can do whatever you want.
NASA stuff isn't censored and isn't like
do what? Demo for a service that they provide
to it in a weird way. Like, it's going to make people want to look into what world we live in, and the people that live in it know it's real. They know I'm not making it up, because you can even look up half the flat earth videos that used to be on YouTube, and because they all got deleted.
Well, yeah, that's not a good thing. That's a bad thing with it. I don't agree with censorship at all. That's bad for multiple reasons. Also, because if your idea is good, it should be able to stand on its own. So
yeah. Also, don't you think that say the Earth's not flat and it's a crazy conspiracy? Don't you think that them censoring it is actually breathing life into it in a weird way? Like it's going to make people want to look into what you're not letting them look into. And the same thing with the Globers being dishonest.
Yeah, that's true. It's one of those places. But like, I mean,
defining logic should be a prerequisite for any debate. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You know, the social dynamics are complicated. Like, you're going to get some of that.
It's a treason effect. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy because, dude, you think about this. Like, I know people get triggered by this, but like, it's very similar to like the scriptures, which if anyone has ever really watched my channel, like I hate religion, but like they do the same thing with the scriptures. They prop up a fake version of it and they censor the real version. And it just once someone figures that out, which is the tough part, is actually getting to where you figured that out. It's like it piques your curiosity. It makes you want to figure out what's going on. Same with Flat Earth Society propped up into the search results, but the real true earthers are completely suppressed. We've been like deleted. Most of the actual like fire videos that had hundreds of thousands of views have been deleted. The channels have been reset, right? That makes people want to know what's going on. It's going to backfire, but that obviously requires they actually figure out that happened, though. This is exactly why I'm on your side, sir. I love you, partner. Thank you. Thank you. True Earth Norseman, thank you for the $10 super chat. Much love.
You're also going to get some people who actually click on the link at the bottom and read the Wikipedia article and come away, you know, after having rubbed several brain cells together and understand shit. Sorry,
I understand
that was a
the
dig.
globe
Couldn't help it.
better than you, bro. So don't make it weird, bro. Like I studied the globe very detailed, like on a very nerdy level, and that's why I don't believe it. You don't have a working dynamo model. They claim the Earth is slowing down and speeding up and slowing down and speeding up over the last 3 years, and they don't know why, which violates the law of conservation of energy and momentum, both laws, right? And they like there's all kinds of problems with it, dude. There's dark matter, there's dark energy, there's the expansion rate, there's not enough mass in the galaxy distribution, the redshift distribution doesn't match. Like there's all kinds of problems with it that the average person doesn't know. But they just know that if they call me stupid because I take an unpopular position, then the rest of the people will chant, the slaves will clap, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, Witsit stupid? Witsit stupid? Who cares about his IQ or that he knows way more about it than I am, or he's way more articulate about his position than I am, but he's stupid, yeah. We live in like a cult of slaves that just cheer for the majority, and that's the problem.
Well, I never got an answer from the bird about
get this work, bro.
The satellite thing either. I just heard a laugh. How do you disprove that? How do you disprove the satellite, the CubeSat thing?
What did you have an opinion on why flat Earth was let out of the bag? I don't know. I've thought about this a lot. I've talked about this a lot with people. I don't know. It requires a lot of speculation, bro. I think that they want to kind of unify the world in a singular world order, and so they're gonna redo the whole system. The financial system, the technological systems, the transportation systems, the communicative systems, everything. And I think that may also include an overall like redefining of where we live, and they absorb a more accurate cosmology. I don't know though. I've thought about this. I'm not sure. Like they may absorb it, or because I would say it seemed like it was kind of released, right? Like Flat Earth never went anywhere, but it was kind of allowed to like have life again. I mean, I guess it could hypothetically be math. Powerland made a joke organically, and Eric Dubay came out organically. And I'm not saying that they didn't, but because logically speaking, it would blow up. If it did happen organically, it would blow up because the YouTube algorithms are designed to promote whatever keeps the viewer, right? Like viewer retention is prioritized. And when people find out about flat Earth, it's so new to them. It's such a foreign idea. They get so obsessed with it that they watch hours and hours and hours and hours of flat Earth stuff. So it keeps them on there. So the algorithms are just going to prop it up and keep suggesting the videos because they have the best viewer retention rates, which is why advertisers still reach out to me, even though I'm censored and only have 70,000 subs, just because of my viewer retention, right? It's like one of the most valuable social media currencies in the world. So I'm on the fence as to whether or not it was organic. So did they really let it out? I don't know. That's a good question because they did come and censor it. They did delete it. It's very grossly misrepresented. In the scenario that they did let it out, like I said, I think they may ultimately absorb it.
And then I can get real conspiratorial where I think that they're conditioning people to believe that aliens made us and aliens were here back in the day and they're going to reveal themselves to bring peace to the whole world in a time of calamity. And they're going to come tell us, look, all the governments and all these powerful structures have been lying to you. All these quote unquote scientists, all the science, this primitive human science you think figured it all out is completely wrong about everything. Here's the truth. Here's a little slideshow of the real history. We were there back in the day, blah, blah, blah. And they would absorb that they're actually interdimensional or extra land, outside land from, I don't know, like there's all kinds of different things. That's why I say specifically, like, I don't think flat earth saves you. They clearly lied about the earth, but like, it doesn't save you because I think the whole trick is going to, for you to be in the new world. So that was like my long-winded answer because that's a pretty deep question. I think about it a lot. I don't know the answer, but I will say I think it'll involve spirituality, which is why they pushed atheism, evolutionary thought so hard because they can empty you out spiritually. Then you're easier to fill, basically. Because like that's just my opinion. You're never going to get everyone to think there's no creator because it's illogical. Like the necessary antecedent to order is intelligent design and intention, and a prerequisite for the universe, quote unquote, is of course an energy with sentience outside the confinement of space, time, and matter. And most people can kind of put some of those basic building blocks together. So now they're pushing simulation theory to acknowledge design, but still remove personable benevolence. So I don't know. I'm all over this. That's a really deep question, bro. I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I would love to know. I'm not naive enough to think that it's not very likely that they did let it out and they did know about it. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a good question. That's kind of some speculation for you, though.
We didn't really finish. So you said that you intercepted.
No. Not the ISS. The CubeSats.
Yes,
separate
the
thing.
CubeSats.
The ones that are sent up. No, they don't go on a satellite. They are a satellite.
They are a satellite, and
they are their own independent box. I might have.
Oh, we're still talking about the satellites, dude. I'll destroy the satellites soon.
Is self-contained.
Sure.
Etherberg, you're pointing your hands like this.
I would like you. I'd be like, yo, show me your robots, bro. Tell me what. Oh, this is where I try to befriend them because I want them to just be honest. Dell's not incredibly dishonest, especially like in this environment where it's not thousands of people watching. So I'm being honest when I say this to him.
And you write them a note and you tell them your robots cannot navigate in these rooms because they don't know the shape of these rooms because they only have a camera that looks up. You can tell them that if you want. Go ahead.
Man, I always tell my wife after the debate, bro, I'm like, I actually don't mind the Dell guy. I'm like, I kind of like him in this weird way. Like, I would sit in your garage with you. I would like you. I'd be like, yo, show me your robots, bro. Tell me what's up. I'll teach you how there's actually an ether. You can maybe utilize the vortice of everything on the quantum scale, and you could blow the rest of the industry out.
If it was real, that would be cool, Witsit. Like, that's why I got into this, Witsit. I became someone in the field of science because I like learning new things and exploring things. You get tons of cash. You showed me the other one before. I don't know.
Read this book, dude. This is a Nobel Prize winner, right? I've only read part of it, dude. That's what's so funny. I just know that it's like right up someone that's not fully awakened yet's alley because it's like, oh, Nobel Prize winner. But yeah, dude. I think about it, dude. Whoever implements the understanding of the background into like a technological advancement first is going to just completely excel. So that's what I was kind of trying to say to him. But you say the word ether around people, around like scientism proponents, and it's like screaming like hell Satan in church or something. It's like they can't handle it, dude. Emotional, visceral reactions just start to pour out of their bodies uncontrollably. It's called The Lightness of Being. And he explains that there's an ether. And
you made tropical weasel of it.
If you don't know there's an ether, then you're lost. You're just lost. That's why you guys can't accept flat Earth. You can't accept anything.
I have a question for
ether because you've given such nebulous definitions in the past that I'm not sure.
So it's like, he didn't know who I was a second ago. Now I've given nebulous definitions in the past. Why, if the flat Earth is so stupid, why are you guys watching me? Why do you care what this college dropout, who obviously that means that I just am completely dismissed, right? Like, why do you care about my opinion? Why? Because I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. It's because we're not stupid. We make valid points, and you can feel intuitively there's something to what we're talking about. That's the reality. Good night, y'all. Much love, Cammy. Nice seeing you in here. But what is the ether? It's an electromagnetic background. It sustains electromagnetic energy. In fact, it's the pure potential state of inertia or rest. It's where all the energy comes from, which you have to define energy. What is energy? They say the ability to or capacity to do work. So it's like if I say, hey, can you define a human? You're like, humans can breathe oxygen. I'm like, okay, but are you going to define what a human is? Yeah, humans can breathe oxygen. I'm like, you're telling me what humans can do. I'm asking you what it is. Okay. I would say energy is pressure mediation. It's the actualization or polarization of the electromagnetic field background. It's hard to define things that haven't been properly defined without using some vocabulary. You know, you guys got to give me a break on that. But Flat Earth Society is referenced in the Illuminati trilogy books. Wow, that sounds like some gravy. I gotta type this out. I have to check that out, bro. All right. Anyway, moving on. Yeah. Like, yeah, I don't even know what all I said.
I disagree. Sorry, Kaz.
No, go ahead.
Electromagnetic background.
But I think we cut off Kaz. He was trying to say something.
Oh, well, I mean,
No,
yeah,
go ahead. Go
just
with the ether question. That's fine.
Oh, it's a background medium that sustains electromagnetic energy.
It's a medium.
If,
Okay,
yeah,
and
yeah. If you actually want to get really technical, which I know you're not going to like this, you're going to say it's word
medium
salad.
have an absolute? Does it
Go
have
for
a,
it, Witsit.
have a speed?
Come on.
Sorry.
No, he has to
no,
answer.
no, it doesn't move. The light is nothing more than the ether illuminating due to the perturbation or disturbance within the ether, and that's why no one can understand the double slit because you guys are running around like cavemen. But anyway, the light is actually the state of inertia. It's the pure potential state of everything that we observe. It's pure potential. Everything we observe. I said the light is actually, I meant to say the ether. It's energy. It's also within the ether illuminating due to the perturbation or disturbance within the ether, and that's why no one can understand the double slit because you guys are running around like cavemen. But anyway, the light is actually the state of inertia. It's the pure potential state of everything that we observe. It's pure potential. Everything we observe as energy is the excitation of that pure potential inertial state of counter space that's referred to as the background.
Are you
Dude, that is very hyper specific and it's just correct, man. Like obviously I'm biased towards my own conclusion, but I admit that you can't scientifically validate the immaterial metaphysical realm or anything like that, but it's the only philosophically viable framework of interpretation of like physical phenomena as I can see it, and I'm open to alternatives or whatever, but it's the pure potential state. Basically, it's like it's a state of inertia. It's rest. It's the background. It's not real. It's like the flip side to the coin of the material world, but it's kind of overlayered. It's not like completely disconnected or anything. And you can go back and forth. You can go back and forth between the two if you want to say that. And it's basically just the inverse of the material world. It's what holds everything together. It's like the glue. It's like the unseen glue of everything. It's the pure potential. And then you have it put into motion, and then you get energy. And actually, like Tesla said, electrostatics would be the ether under strain. Magnetism and electricity would be the ether in motion. And of course, they actually said when the ether is they're on the infinitesimal prodigious worlds of velocity, which just means really small, really fast worlds of velocity, it manifests as matter. And then you get into, well, what is light? Light is the background medium being excited, and that light can be nothing more than a sound wave in the ether. So then you're like, oh, whoa, light and matter are the same thing. And everything's the ether modality. And then it's like, all of a sudden you have a unified theory that actually is coherent and makes sense. And then you realize everything's about vibrations or oscillations or frequencies or motion within the pure potential state, etc. I mean, I know it sounds foreign to people, and people automatically want to just say I'm stupid or dismiss it, but I can assure you it is the only way people will make progress. And until the mainstream accepts it, until academia accepts it, they will never have a unified theory. They will never have a TOE, a theory of everything. They'll never be able to explain quantum field. They'll never be able to explain their paradoxes. They'll never be able to properly define what the quantum field in the background is. They'll never be able to fully understand what the alleged Higgs field is. You're at a standstill because they have a philosophical bias. So you must ask yourself, why can they not say there's an ether? And I'm going to basically rant to close the stream on this. Like whenever I have books like this, I have many Nobel Prize winning people, many like very revered experts in the field of quantum that tell you, oh yeah, there's definitely an ether. And we treat the vacuum as a relativistic ether right now. People just don't say it because they don't say the word ether because it's taboo due to its historical conflict with relativity. It's historical opposition to relativistic application. So it's like, oh, well, why is that? Because if you said there was a substantive medium, a substrate, like it's substantive, it can have motion applied to it. It's mechanical, right? Like ether, like Tesla said that Without the understanding of a mechanical ether, he would have never made any scientific progress at all, and it was a requirement for him to make any scientific progress. It's a mechanical. It can have motion applied to it. It's substantive. It's a substrate. It sustains the energy. It's an actual thing with physical properties and not concepts. It's actual. Unlike space-time, which says it's just space and time, and emptiness and the concept of time, have physical properties. No, it's an actual physical medium. It has physical properties. It's just immaterial. And so material and physical are not synonymous as physical properties. Anyway, you get it. Like if they acknowledge that, where you have like all these people that already know it, the reason they can't say it's substantive, right? Which is why they can't explain all these quantum effects, like 0 point energy, quantum foam, the Casimir effect, vacuum energy, you name it, is because if it's substantive, it debunks heliocentrism off the rip. So no one can come up with a theory to explain all these problems with a substantive medium without it being substantive. It has to somehow be substantive, but not substantive, obviously having substance, like substantive qualities. So like they don't know what to do. That's why no one's come up with a fix. No one can figure it out. You can't unify the quantum and the cosmological scale, of course, because you can't acknowledge a substantive background medium that's actual and physical, right? And mechanical. And then you have to ask yourself why. And it's because it would debunk heliocentrism when you then go re-examine Michelson-Morley, which showed that the Earth wasn't moving. Einstein had to say there was no substantive background. Okay? And this is it's just glaringly obvious to anyone that can truly understand the weight of these phenomena, and they actually researched it. So we're just going to sit here and wait till people let go of it, and they can't. That's why they actually say that matter contracts. You can just never detect it or measure it or tell, but just trust me, it does that. And that space and time bend and warp, there's a new fourth dimension, and everything's an illusion. And then whenever something gets close to the speed of light, it actually contracts to where it's basically has no length simultaneously. It increases to infinite mass. And if you reach the speed of light, you experience timelessness because time physically expands and slows down and all this crazy stuff to save the heliocentric model. And I know I'm kind of talking fast, but I'm about to wrap this up. This is one of the major truths, bro. The ether is very important, and yeah, hence you have utility bills, and we believe it makes sense. You can't have energy without loss because people don't understand that there's like an infinite pure potential state of energy, quote unquote, all around us. Well, it's just the pure potential state of what we call energy, which is pressure mediation, and the process of seeking equilibrium. It's a process. Energy is a process. It's not a physical thing you can grab, right? It's like a process. So anyway, there you go. That's kind of my rant. And yeah, I just know that, bro. I know it. I'm as sure of it as I can be without being able to physically and scientifically validate it, which we basically have, of course, because again, you have the Casimir effect, 0 point energy. You can quote unquote shoot a laser through a vacuum and actually propagates, quote unquote, more effectively than if there was an additional medium. You have all kinds of things. You have a free space impedance and etc. We get into that here in a second, but I can't stay on here too much longer. Yo, family, don't forget about the GoFundMe in the description of this video. Any amount shows love. Thank you all. Thank you for all you do, Austin. Thank you, man. Thank you. Shout out to Run Boston Bear for setting up the GoFundMe. And thank you for the $20 super chat and the kind words and support, brother. Much love. Yeah, I know that was a lot, but you guys get it. That was more for the truth seekers. It's not really for if you're still fighting desperately to just lie about the current model. It's like we're all hanging out at the campfire and you're just talking trash to everyone, and we're like, bro, can you just leave? It's like the dude at the party that keeps inappropriately touching the girls because he's too drunk and has no game, and then all the girls want to leave and go to the club earlier. You know what I'm saying? You're being that guy while we're over here trying to actually talk about how there's clearly an ether. So anyway, they'll get there. I did get a few super chats or 2 cash apps. Let me read them off. Daniel for Dan's things and stuff in stream. Yeah, bless. Thank you so much for the generous cash app. Much love, brother. Gavin, thank you for the cash app. B. Christensen, thank you also for the cash app. And Scott, thank you for the cash app. It says thanks, Scotty. Thank you, Scotty, for the support. Thank you, everyone, for the support. We'll catch up on all that. I'm going to try to go to the P.O. box tomorrow. There you go. I'm going to go kind of help get Aaliyah asleep so Kai can get some sleep. So I think we planned for 11:30, so we're going to get out of here.
Yeah. Shout out to all the legends in the chat. If you don't mind, smash the thumbs up. I dropped the link in the chat. I'll drop the link because there'll be a live chat replay. So I'm going to drop the link to this. You can watch it if you want to or not. I mean, I think we learned a little bit about it. And then the show's coming up, which is just a lot. It's just I'm doing a lot, but like they're gonna be dope. So yeah, we got a lot coming on, and we're gonna try and really knock out some bigger debates, branch out the different debates. We have the 2 documentaries that hopefully get done. Then I'm gonna try to do a couple documentaries. Yeah, it should be cool. I know I took basically I've just done 1 stream in a month, except for Globebusters and the debate. But yeah, just kind of I've just been getting in the swing of things with Aaliyah, and we've had family in and out, and we're just kind of getting everything rolling. So we are back at it. So cool. Thank you guys for kicking it. Seek and Speak Truth. Chris, congratulations. I just had a girl too. It's awesome. Oh, congratulations, Chris. And thank you for the Cash App. Much love, bro. Congratulations to you. It's very cool. It's surreal. It's surreal for sure. Much love, everyone. Much love. Great stream, man. Thank you, man. You keep crushing, bro. I legitimately think that you crush. Thank you and congratulations with your family. Thank you, guys. All right. Seek and Speak Truth unequivocally. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. So who cares what weak people say or think? Don't let people intimidate you. What's true is not popular. What's popular is rarely true. And this is just kind of a fact of life. It's all good, right? Whenever they revile you for his name's sake or for the truth's sake, rejoice, for they did it to all the prophets before you. They do that to everyone that speaks the truth boldly, regardless of whether people think you're going to get attacked. And in fact, when you get attacked, and it's now always be humble enough to actually embrace valid criticism, right? At the same time, when you can tell that you're being honest and it's not valid criticism, understand that that's probably some type of validation to your point. Weak people are going to project and attack you, and it's all good. I think that we need to get beyond that as a society. It's more important now than ever that people kind of get over the whole, oh man, they're talking bad about me thing. I just became a father of a daughter. Cheers, man. Love what you're doing. Hey, congratulations, Mag of Cascadia. Thank you for the $10 super chat, and congrats to you, and thank you for the congratulations. All right. Yeah, links to support the channel in the description. Thanks to everyone that supports the channel. Launching the website and the app here soon. We're also putting together another epic online summit, so that should be super cool. We should be launching up some stuff about that soon. So we got a lot of stuff coming on. I've had a few people reach out to me, said that they're down to kind of help me work on certain things. Anyone that wants to kind of be a part of some of the teams that we're putting together, we're going to have True Earth audits and many other things. Reach out to me, put subjects in the emails. We're now launching back into 2023, and it's going to be cool. So cool. Thank you guys for kicking it. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow is the plan. Till then, peace.
That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sipping pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big Pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, I be in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock and twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force a misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature to mean extorted it. They forging it if news anchors informants who informing them. There's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this, we porting ships important. Yes, of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informing this, informing this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder is it real?